spilled my tea right there. Hello, everyone. How's it going? This is funny. Look at the playlist. Look at the playlist image that I'm playing this on. This feels like me when I'm reading. Ah, I'm muted. Sorry. This is me when I'm when I'm reading Wuthering Heights. I thought I unmuted myself. I said I almost spilled my tea. This is the playlist that I'm playing. It's all of us reading Wuthering Heights. How's it going, guys? How's it going, everyone? Wait, Sony. Now I'm doubled up. There we go. I think we're good now. Oh, that's right. It's Ash Wednesday today. Happy Ash Wednesday, everyone. Can't stay for the whole thing? Ah, that's all right. That's all right. I don't know if anybody wants to stay for the whole thing. I feel like this book is killing the channel. There's only a few of us left. Yeah, the goal is impossible, so I don't really even want you guys to attribute to the goal. The goal is going to be impossible, so there's no chance that we get to it. Yeah, this book is so rough. Like it is again, I think it's very well written. I think it's an interesting depiction of people. But I struggle reading books like this. Yeah, we should give up Wuthering Heights for Lent. Oy, oy, oy. Nice. I love a little creeping. You're doing a little Darcy on the stream while you're at work. Just creeping in the side. Guys, I watched the first episode. Let's talk about a lighter note for a quick second. I watched the first episode of the BBC Pride and Prejudice. And it's so good. So good. There's a lot of moments where Colin Firth is just lurking. They do a great job with the lurkingness of of Mr. Darcy. It's so fun so far. Jennifer Ellie is much better Elizabeth. Although I will say again, if you guys watch that, I got to put together like a shortened version of that thing that the Watcher's Companion, because I thought Keira Knightley was actually better than I would have thought she would do. I honestly, that might have been her best acting of her career. I thought she did pretty well in a lot of small little subtle things. I don't think she's a perfect one. The 1995, 95 one. Jennifer Ellie is a great Elizabeth. There's a few things, she's like more teasing. She's a bit more fun at this point. I really loved her. Apparently it's on YouTube. Someone throw that in I think Kendrick threw that in the Discord. BBC, let's look it up. Pride and Prejudice. Apparently they released it for, they did a 5-hour thing 3 days ago. Valentine's Gift, Pride and Prejudice 1995 full box set, BBC playback. I don't know how long it's going to be on YouTube for, but that is lovely. I love that. Thank you. So that's where I watched it on Tubi or something like that. That's so cool that they released it for free. What good people. Are they going to delete it in like a week? You just downloaded it. Well done. I know, honestly. But anyway, it's pleasant, it's fun, it's lovely. You like both Jennifer Ellie and Keira Knightley in different ways. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm kind of excited to get back to some Jane Austen. I need some happy, pleasant characters in my life with only like one or two non-pleasant. This is the reversal of Wuthering Heights is the reversal of a Jane Austen novel. In a Jane Austen, I feel like everyone is kind of likable except for maybe one or two per people. In this, no one's likable except for no one. Yeah, I totally agree. I was watching it with someone and we were both like it's weird too because the woman who plays Jane in the BBC edition is actually beautiful, but they do not make her look beautiful in the BBC edition. I think the Rosamund Pike is perfect for Jane. And she's a bit different in the BBC edition from what I really initially thought. Um, yeah, Rosamund Pike is beautiful too, so I'm a fan of her. It's here. Let me paste it. Let me play this real quick and then paste it. If you guys want to watch, here is the link. They have it right there. Yeah, I'm gonna do Bride and Prejudice too. This channel, like, I think because I want to keep the reading up for all these. So there's gonna be some. Oh, it doesn't work in your region. What the heck? That's why I gotta get a. What are those things called? VPN. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do Bride and Prejudice because everyone is talking about that one. I'll eventually do all the Pride and Prejudices, but those ones, I think my watchings are gonna be spread out throughout this channel. I want the readings to stay consistent, so I don't necessarily want to take like a 2-week break to watch everything before we do the next book. But maybe that'd be kind of worth it. Maybe that'd be a nice break for all of us, just so that we can kind of just all enjoy a watch together. And that's so sad it doesn't work in your guys' regions. That's a bummer. Maybe I could download it and just throw it in our Discord or something. Do some illegal back alley transactions. Everyone, you have your tea? Everyone ready for Kathy and Heathcliff? Ugh. Gosh, come on. When you're short on time, you skip the Pemberley visit with the gardeners. What do you mean? In the BBC one? Yes, hot chai. That's what I got too. Michael, I love that. Ooh, wow. Some spicy Bacardi. Wow. Be kind of good. Truly need something lighter after. I know, for sure. I'm actually really considering. I want to do Count of Monte Cristo, but I almost want to wait to read that after the next. Like, my reading plan is kind of burst because I don't think I want to do the Portrait of Dorian Gray. I think I want to do something really light, but I don't want to do another Jane Austen quite yet. Like, I want to space out the Jane Austen ones because I could read all those in a year, but I feel like there's so much joy there that I want to just space them out a little bit. So I'm considering doing like a piece of children's literature, like Where the Red Fern Grows, but that's not in the public domain. So I got to figure out something. Maybe like we do, the Scarlet Pimpernel. It has to be in public domain for some of this stuff. Although, does it really? Like, we can get away with something that's not in public domain. This is a small enough channel that we can do that. Narnia is going to be on the other channel, probably eventually. Not quite yet. So, and if you guys don't know, I have the Tolkien Lord of the Rings channel. We'll probably do that on that one. Yeah, I got away with Lord of the Rings, exactly. So I could probably get away with other non stuff. A Room with a View is Forster, or no? What's A Room with a View? Is that Austin? The Scarlet Pimpernel is public domain. Okay, excellent. Maybe we'll do the Scarlet Pimpernel. E.M. Forster, that's right. Scarlet Pimpernel. Is it really like a lighthearted book? Isn't it about the French Revolution? It's a 1905 classic. Okay, excellent. So it's public domain. That'd be kind of fun. Maybe we'll do that. Nesbit, Mrs. Nesbit. That reminds me of Toy Story. Did the Looney Tunes do the Pimpernel? Like a version of the Pimpernel? Scarlet Pimpernel? It's like French Zorro. Oh, interesting. Okay, that'd be kind of fun. Ad Hondo by Louis L'Amour. To long list. Added. It's added. We'll put it on there. Scarlet Pumpernickel? Is that what it's called? For real? That's actually so great. Yeah, we're gonna do Narnia on the other channel. We're gonna do his space trilogy on the other channel too, probably. Maybe the Scarlet Pimpernel is next. That sounds kind of fun. We definitely just need something lighter. We have to intersperse. I feel like it's gonna be like we do like a happy book, then like a neutral book, and then after we do those, then we can potentially delve into a depressing book like Wuthering Heights. But there's a lot of depressing classics, I feel like. But maybe not as depressing as this one. This is maybe one of the roughest, most depressing books that I've read in a long time. Yeah, Jane Eyre is jumping in there too. We will do Jane Eyre. I wanted to do that quick because I think I like that book a lot. But we'll probably save that for the summer. I don't know. I keep saying we'll save these for the summer, but I'm like, we're going to read 20 books in the summer. No, we're not. We're probably going to read 3 books in the summer. So I got to figure out ordering. I feel like the ordering of what we read, of what comes next, is essentially just going to be... yeah, Russian literature is a no-no for next. But I feel like the Russian literature is actually not as depressing as this. You know what I mean? Like, I've tried to read some Russian literature. Like, I've read Anna Karenina. Anna Karenina is so lovely compared to this. You know? Yeah, Brontes just love their depression. Honestly, that's a great point too. It's not really depressing so much as it just makes you mad. Ay. If I do Jane Eyre, followed up with Rebecca. Okay. Brontes are not the tellers of happy tales. And that's very true too, Harmony. We did go from like the top of the top to maybe the lowest. Like Pride and Prejudice is probably known to be like one of the most happy, upbeat books. And then all of a sudden we're hitting maybe one of the lowest books. Has anybody, okay, here's the question. Has anybody read a more depressing, or not depressing, a more twisted book than Wuthering Heights so far? Like, I don't know if I've ever read a book that frustrates me more than this book. I don't know. Yeah, I can't say that I have. I'm trying to think. Like, I've read books that like frustrate me writing wise more. There's some twisted stuff in Dorian Gray. Imagine if we just did Dorian Gray right after this. Everyone would be so depressed in this book club. Penhallow by Georgette Heyer. Interesting. Ooh, Lolita might be up there, yeah. I don't know if I ever want to read Lolita on this channel, to be completely honest. It seems a little too much. Jew the Obscure. Oedipus is pretty twisted. Interesting. Never read. Supposedly brain becomes inflamed. A Room with a View. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, well, maybe we'll do a vote after we're like almost done with this book to see which we'll do. Brave New World. I tried to read that I think we tried to read that in high school, and I don't think I did because I couldn't do it. I wasn't a really good reader in high school. Honestly, you know what would be a perfect change up from this? If I wasn't doing The Hobbit on the other channel, I would do The Hobbit next on this channel. That's like a lighthearted book, I feel like. A good children's book, like a children's journey. That's what we need. We need like a good, fun adventure. What about Michael, you were saying this too. What about what's the oldest American novel of all time? Right, Treasure Island. Is that fun? Oh, Anne of Green Gables is actually a great idea too. Hmm. C.S. Lewis's That Hideous Strength is better than Brave New World or 1984. Yeah, Wodehouse. We could do some Wodehouse too. Yeah, French Zorro does sound really fun. I feel like the Scarlet Pimpernel is a great option. That's like number one right now. Man. The Clown by Heinrich Boll. There's a lot of depressing books out there. Some of these authors just needed to get out of their depression era, and they needed to write. Anytime I read the poetry of what's her name? She killed herself in an oven. Why can't I think of her name? Yeah, Sylvia Plath. Yeah. Anytime I read her poetry, I love it. I think she's a great poet, but sometimes I'm like, this is a little too heavy. I need to just take a chill for a bit. Much Ado About Nothing could be a really fun one too. I kind of agree. That would be fun. I saw the play a long time ago. Treasure Island, Swiss Family Robinsons, those could be great too. Or like I do love Sylvia Plath, but like Sylvia Plath and like Bukowski are I need them in doses. Honestly, I was thinking about that with Shakespeare. It'd be kind of fun. But we were talking about Shakespeare before too, and all you guys kind of said is better watched than read, really. So we got to figure out how we could do a Shakespeare thing. It'd be kind of fun if we just did that in like a Discord where everyone had a different part. I did that in high school, and my teacher, because I wasn't a great. This is how cruel is this, guys. My freshman year, we read Romeo and Juliet, and I wasn't a great reader, like oral reader. I would stumble over my words. Didn't have a lot of confidence in doing that. And my teacher, as a cruel joke, because she just didn't like me that much, gave me the role of the priest in Romeo and Juliet who has like full page long dialogue. And I really struggled. I remember sitting in class trying to read that out loud to the rest of my classmates, and everyone would make fun of me. Or not really, but I just wasn't a good reader. And I said, that's really cruel. That's a cruel joke for my English teacher. And it's really funny because my freshman, is anybody listening to, I promise we'll start the read in a few minutes too. Has anybody read, or is anybody listening to the Harry Potter full cast audiobooks? If anybody is, my English teacher, my freshman year, sounds exactly like Moaning Myrtle sounds in this book. It's hilarious. And so there's like a little payback. Your freshman English teacher hated you and hated boys. Mine too. Maybe we went to the same high school. Mine hated boys. I still remember my freshman year English teacher. She said, I do not let bathroom breaks happen in my class. She said, only girls can have bathroom breaks because only girls have emergencies. And I said, well, it's valid, but what if I really have to pee? And she didn't let. This is a whole different story. In college, we had a professor that didn't let people go on bathroom breaks. And someone that I knew, like, did a joke where they, like, peed their pants. I don't know how that's a joke. It's not really like a funny joke, but it was like to prove someone, you guys suck. You listen to Harry Potter by Stephen Fry. I'm an American, so I much prefer Jim Dale. Although Stephen Fry is good. He's like, he will lull me to sleep. I think Jim Dale is more entertaining. But the full cast audiobook is just so fun. Wind in the Willows is another great idea. And yeah, Lana, that's actually a great idea. So the Scarlet Pimpernel, like all these happy ones, The Wind in the Willows, Anne of Green Gables. I don't think we're going to read that. Maybe we can only do like 2 depressing books a year. Because I do like a good depressing book every once in a while. This is not really depressing. This is just infuriating. But every once in a while, anytime we read a sad book or a rough book, we have to read something positive and happy and light after this. Wind in the Willows would be kind of fun. Yeah, HP is set in Britain. Yeah, but Jim Dale is British. I don't know why they divided that. Hitchhiker's Guide is huge, though, right? Yeah, she was so good, Arabella Stanton. Oh, she's going to be so excellent in the series. Although I will say, I think my favorite voice actor of the entire series is adult Hermione. I'm in the 4th book right now. Adult Hermione her voice acting is next level. I love it so much. Oh, Hitchhiker's Guide is actually short. Interesting. Yeah, everyone has that problem with Jim Dale. His Hermione is rough, which I kind of agree with, but I still just love Jim Dale. Yeah, we need to have a list of positive classics on the Discord. Honestly, we should maybe do a thread that is just like suggestions of books so that we can kind of revisit that anytime and like pick our next book from that list. Yes, I love that you agree with Hermione. I think she's so excellent in that. Yeah, it is public domain books, but it's not exactly. Like, I think if we do like, let's imagine we do like a book a month, which probably we won't do because some books will be longer. So like the Count of Monte Cristo is probably going to take us 3 months or so. But let's say we do a book a month. So like 12 books a year. Maybe 11 out of those books should be public domain, but I don't care that much. We can probably get away with old books that aren't really public domain, but kind of are at the same time. Because I mean, I have a whole channel about Lord of the Rings that I was literally doing live reads for Lord of the Rings, and I haven't gotten in trouble for it yet, which I probably will, but I'm going to just ride that out till I can, till I get in trouble for it. Yeah, Sherlock Holmes short stories would actually be really fun too. We should do some short stories in between, like books. We could do some novellas. I really do want to do Charlotte's Web too, even though that's not really public domain either. And like Stuart Little, I'm going to do those. Yeah, I could, but still YouTube has access to be able to view members only stuff, and they would be able to get through that, which is a bit frustrating. Although most of the time you get flagged on YouTube because someone else flags you for it. So I just haven't gotten flagged yet, which is great. I got flagged for one video that was actually actual video. But what I'm doing actually is I back myself up in that with Lord of the Rings, I'm not actually breaking copyright because I'm adding my own commentary to it, which is part of the reason why I do talk so much when I do that Lord of the Rings stuff, because it's essentially I'm taking the copyright laws and bypassing them by just not reading through a full book. It's not an audiobook listen. That's why a bunch of it's under fair use what I'm doing. I very much believe that. I'm adding my own commentary to it. Yeah, I think it would work for this channel. Yeah, my regular videos don't get flagged, but Michael, the very first video that I did with a live read, I didn't do a live read. I did a recorded read where I just essentially read through a chapter and gave my commentary every so often. And that one got flagged because I think the AI bots recognize that as I'm reading Lord of the Rings. But when I'm just doing my normal reads, if I read it a paragraph or two and then just have like a discussion about it, I mean, that's just the way my brain works too. So it just works. But yeah, we don't have to do all copyright stuff, but I just want to keep this channel to classics, like classic literature, which most of those are kind of public domain. Anyway, I'm yapping too much. Are you guys ready to get depressed? Who's ready to get sad on Lent? I get a good amount of reading too, so let's get started. Yeah, we're ready. You're already at work, already depressed. Good. All right. Here we go, guys. This is after I finish these 3, are we going to be halfway through this book? Not yet. Almost. We're pretty close. Actually, yeah, pretty close. After we finish these 3 chapters, we're almost halfway through. Oh, no, wait. That's 13. Honestly, we're going to be halfway through after we finish these 3 chapters. Because we're reading 11, 12, and 13. So, let's do it, guys. I might have to take a bathroom break in between a chapter or so because I just drank a lot of tea. Chapter 14 is the end of volume 1. How long is chapter 14? Can we get through chapter 14? Honestly, maybe we'll... yeah, let's try to get through chapter 14. I'm actually going to change this real quick on the thing. Let's just do a lot of reading today. Get through chapter 14. We'll add some bathroom breaks in there. The uphill half is coming. I don't think there's going to be any uphill half. I think all this is going to be downhill. Thank you, Harmony. I appreciate it. You guys are the best, allowing me to have a bathroom break. Ooh, okay. You're 46% of the way after chapter 13. So we'll get to chapter 13. We'll probably do the 14 because 14 is not that much longer. It's a good break. And then there's a break on after chapter 14 for the first part. Are there just 2 parts in this novel? Looks like 2 parts. All right, here we go. This is chapter 11. Uphill is harder in hiking. That's actually debatable. When I'm going uphill, I'd rather be going downhill. And when I'm downhill, I'd rather be going uphill. Cycling, you're right. The uphill is harder. But for hiking, a really tough downhill is brutal on the shins. Anyway, I digress. Chapter 11. Sometimes while meditating on these things in solitude, I've got up in a sudden terror and put on my bonnet to go see how all was at the farm. I've persuaded my conscience that it was a duty to warn him how people talked regarding his ways. We're still with Ellie, correct? And then I've recollected his confirmed bad habits and, hopeless of benefiting him, have flinched from re-entering the dismal house, doubting if I could ever be taken at my word. One time I passed the old gate, going out of my way on a journey to Gimmerton. It was about the period that my narrative has reached, a bright frosty afternoon, the ground bare, and the road hard and dry. I came to a stone where the highway branches off onto the moor at your left hand, a rough sand pillar with the letters WH cut on its north side, on the east G, and on the south west TG. Thrushcross Grange, Gimmerton, and Wuthering Heights. It serves, there you go. It serves as a guidepost to the Grange and Heights and the village. The sun shone yellow on the gray head, reminding me of summer. And I cannot say why, but all at once a gush of child sensation flowed into my heart. Hindley and I held at a favorite spot 20 years before. I gazed long at the weather-worn block, and stooping down perceived the hole near the bottom still full of snail shells and pebbles, which we were fond of storing there with more perishable things, and as fresh as reality. It appeared that I beheld my early playmate seated on the withered turf, his dark square head bent forward, and his little hand scooping at the earth with a piece of slate. Poor Hindley, I exclaimed involuntarily. It is interesting, too, that she is buddies with Hindley. An ad started just as I began reading. Stinking ads. Okay, so this is published in 2 volumes. Okay, good to know. Poor Hindley, I exclaimed involuntarily. I started. My bodily eye was cheated into a momentary belief that the child lifted its face and stared straight into mine. Again, the supernatural in this book is a really interesting thing to talk about. I gotta do an essay on that. Hold on, I need my pencil. It vanished in a twinkling, but immediately I felt an irresistible yearning to be at the heights. Superstition urged me to comply with this impulse, supposing he should be dead. I thought, or should soon die, or should die soon, supposing it were a sign of death. The nearer I got to the house, the more agitated I grew, and on catching sight of it, I trembled every limb. Has Heathcliff killed Hindley? The apparition had outstripped me. It stood looking through the gate. That was my first idea on observing an elf-locked, brown-eyed boy setting his ruddy countenance against the bars. Further reflection suggested this must be Hareton, my Hareton, not altered greatly since I left him 10 months since. God bless thee, darling, I cried, forgetting instantaneously my foolish fears. Hareton, it's Nellie, thy nurse. He retreated out of arm's length and picked up a large flint. I am come to see thy father, Hareton, I added, guessing from the actions that Nellie, if she lived in his memory at all, was not recognized as one with me. He raised his missile to hurl it. I commenced a soothing speech, but could not stay his hand. The stone struck my bonnet, and then ensued from the stammering lips of the little fellow a string of curses which, whether he comprehended them or not, were delivered with practiced emphasis, and distorted his baby features into a shocking expression of malignity. Elf-locked means tangled. Okay, interesting. Yeah, a little neglected child right here, but just throwing rocks at strangers' heads? Yeah. How old is he? That's a great question. Okay, 6 years old, has no real parental figure in his life. I mean, it's understandable that he's throwing rocks, but it's not ideal. Poor kid. You may be certain this grieved more than angered me. Yeah, honestly. Fit to cry, I took an orange from my pocket and offered it to propitiate him. He hesitated and then snatched it from my hold as if he fancied I only intended to tempt him and disappoint him. I showed another, keeping it out of his reach. Who has taught you those fine words, my bairn? I inquired. The curate? My bairn is the child. Interesting. Damn the curate. And thee, give me that, he replied. Tell us where you got your lessons, and you shall have it, I said. Who is your master? Devil Daddy was his answer. And what do you learn from Daddy? I continued. He jumped at the fruit. I raised it higher. What does he teach you? I asked. Naught, he said, but to keep out of his gate. Daddy cannot bide me, because I swear at him. Ah, and the devil teaches you to swear at Daddy, I observed. Aye, nay, he drawled. Who then? Heathcliff. I asked if he liked Mr. Heathcliff. Ah, Heathcliff is turning Hareton against his own dad. I mean, Hindley is a terrible dad, but this is terrible. Heathcliff, come on, dude. Like, if you're going to get revenge, just get revenge on that person that wronged you. Don't get revenge on the person's children. Don't, like, have the children do it. A boy child is a bairn. Okay, interesting. I asked if he liked Mr. Heathcliff. Aye, he answered again. Desiring to have his reasons for liking him, I could only gather the sentences. I known't. He pays Dad back when he guys me. When he guys to me. He curses Daddy for cursing me. He says I mun do as I will. And the curate does not teach you to read and write then? I pursued. No, I was told the curate should have his teeth dashed down his throat. should have his blank teeth dashed down his blank throat. I'm guessing those are curses. If he stepped over the threshold. Heathcliff had promised that. I put the orange in his hand and bade him tell his father that a woman called Nellie Dean was waiting to speak with him by the garden gate. He went up the walk and entered the house, but instead of Hindley, Heathcliff appeared on the doorstones, and I turned directly and ran down the road as hard as I ever could race, making no halt till I gained the guidepost and feeling as scared as if I raised a goblin. This is not much connected with Miss Isabella's affair. Miss Isabella. Her affair? Is it just like her life? This is not much connected with Miss Isabella's affair, except that it urged me to resolve further on mounting vigilant guard and doing my utmost to check the spread of such bad influence at the Grange, even though I should wake a domestic storm by thwarting Mrs. Linton's pleasure. Affairs and what she was doing. Okay, actually, excellent. Thank ya. Her matters. Yeah, for sure. Those are probably considered worse than damn and bloody, for sure. Mun is must. Okay, thank you. AC, welcome. Late, I'm catching up 2 times. The next time Heathcliff came, my young lady chanced to be feeding some pigeons in the court. She had never spoken a word to her sister-in-law for 3 days, but she had likewise dropped her fretful complaining, and we found it a great comfort. Heathcliff had not the habit of bestowing a single unnecessary civility on Miss Linton, I knew. Now, as soon as he beheld her, his first precaution was to take a sweeping survey of the front house. I was standing by the kitchen window, but I drew out of sight. He then stepped across the pavement to her and said something. She seemed embarrassed and desirous of getting away. To prevent it, he laid his hand on her arm. She averted her face. He apparently put some question, which she had no mind to answer. There was another rapid glance at the house, and supposing himself unseen, the scoundrel had the impudence to embrace her. "Judas, traitor," I ejaculated. "You are a hypocrite, too. Are you? A deliberate deceiver." "Who is Nellie?" said Catherine's voice at my elbow. I had been over intent on watching the pair outside to mark her entrance. "Your worthless friend," I answered warmly. "The sneaking rascal yonder. He has caught a glimpse of us. He is coming in. I wonder, will he have the art to find a plausible excuse for making love to Miss when he told you he hated her?" Mrs. Linton saw Isabella tear herself free and run into the garden. And a minute after, Heathcliff opened the door. I couldn't withhold giving some loose to my indignation, but Catherine angrily insisted on silence and threatened to order me out of the kitchen if I dared be so presumptuous as to put in my insolent tongue. To hear you, people might think you were the mistress," she cried. "You want sitting down in your right place, Heathcliff. What are you about, raising that stir?" "I said you must let Isabella alone. I beg you will, unless you are tired of being received here, and wish Linton to draw the bolts against you." "God forbid that he should try," answered the black villain. I detested him just then. God keep him meek and patient. Every day I grow madder after sending him to heaven. "Hush," said Catherine, shutting the inner door. "Don't vex me. Why have you disregarded my request? Did she come across you on purpose?" "What is it to you?" he growled. "I have a right to kiss her if she chooses. And you have no right to object. I'm not your husband. You needn't be jealous of me." "I'm not jealous of you," replied the mistress. "I'm jealous for you. Clear your face. You shan't scowl at me. If you like Isabella, you shall marry her. But do you like her? Tell the truth, Heathcliff." "There, you won't answer. I'm certain you don't." "And would Mr. Linton approve of his sister marrying that man?" I inquired. "Mr. Linton should approve," returned my lady decisively. What the heck? They're just so dysfunctional. Oh my gosh. They're just a bunch of... They're a babbling, bumbling band of baboons. He might spare himself the trouble, said Heathcliff. I could do as well without his approbation. And as to you, Catherine, I have a mind to speak a few words now while we're at it. I want you to be aware that I know you have treated me infernally. Infernally. Do you hear that? And if you flatter yourself that I didn't perceive it, you are a fool. And if you think I can be consoled by sweet words, you are an idiot. And if you fancy I'll suffer unrevenged, I'll convince you of the contrary in a very little while. Meantime, thank you for telling me your sister-in-law's secret. I swear I'll make the most of it and stand you aside. What new phase of his character is this? Exclaimed Mrs. Linton in amazement. I've treated you infernally, and you take revenge? How will you take it, ungrateful brute? How have I treated you infernally? As sad as this might be, this to me is them flirting. This is how two dysfunctional, messed up people flirt. Honestly, very few people voted for this book, but I just wanted to do it because the movie came out. And I was like, this book can't be that bad. Like, you guys know what I mean though? Like, this is to me them flirting. Like, this is so unhealthy, but like, you definitely know they're both kind of getting off on this to some extent. Ay, ay, ay. I think she does. I think she's like torturing him though. Yeah, this is tyranny. This is essentially what tyranny leads to, guys. It leads to bad books. Do any of you guys follow Man Carrying Things? What a channel name. I think and his wife do another podcast where they just talked about this, and it was really funny. They're like a good little duo. I don't know if that's his wife or not, but they were talking about the movie, and they didn't give that many spoilers for the book, but this is, yeah, he's so great. I love him. But I was listening to some of it, and he was saying how this is like his favorite book, but these people are so messed up. I won't be a dictator in the future, I promise. So they're 18 and 19 years old right now. They're children. And they talk like 5-year-olds. They're like so stupid. I seek no revenge on you, replied Heathcliff less vehemently. That's not the plan. The tyrant grinds down his slaves, and they don't turn against him. They crush those beneath them. You are welcome to torture me to death for your amusement. Only allow me to amuse myself a little in the same style, and refrain from insult as much as you are able. Having leveled my palace, don't erect a hovel and complacently admire your own charity in giving me that for a home. If I imagined you really wished me to marry Isabella, I'd cut my throat. Oh, that evil. Oh, the evil is that I am not jealous, is it? Cried Catherine. While I won't repeat my offer of a wife, it is as bad as offering Satan a lost soul. Your bliss lies, like his, in inflicting misery. You prove it. Edgar is restored from the ill temper he gave way to at your age. I begin to secure and tranquil, and I begin to be secure and tranquil. And you, restless to know us at peace, appear resolved on exciting a quarrel. Quarrel with Edgar, if you please. Heathcliff, and deceive his sister, you'll hit on exactly the most efficient method of revenging yourself on me." The conversation ceased. Mrs. Linton sat down by the fire, flushed and gloomy. The spirit which served her was growing intractable. She could neither lay nor control it. He stood on the hearth with folded arms, brooding on his evil thoughts. And in this position I left them to seek the master, who was wondering what kept Catherine below so long. "Ellen," said he, when I entered the kitchen, "I have seen your mistress. Or have you seen your mistress?" "Yes, she is in the kitchen, sir," I answered. She's sadly put out by Mr. Heathcliff's behavior, and indeed I do think it is time to arrange his visits on another footing. There's harm in being too soft, and now it's come to this. This blank. Did she say a curse word there? And I relate the scene in court, and as near as I dared, the whole subsequent dispute. I fancied it could not be very prejudicial to Miss Linton, unless she made it so afterward by assuming the defensive for her guest. Edgar Linton had difficulty in hearing me to the close. His first words reveal that he did not clear his wife of blame. Good. "This is insufferable," he exclaimed. "It is disgraceful that she should own him for a friend and force his company on me. Call me 2 men out of the hall. Ellen, Catherine shall linger no longer to argue with the low ruffian. I have humored her enough." He descended, and bidding the servants wait in the passage, went, followed by me, to the kitchen. Its occupants had recommenced their angry discussion. Mrs. Linton, at least, was scolding with renewed vigor. Heathcliff had moved to the window and hung his head, somewhat cowed by her violent rating, apparently. Interesting. There's a lot of shocking details in this about, like, I guess I'm just not, I mean, I am kind of understanding the character of Heathcliff, but Heathcliff is already strange in this because he doesn't seem like he'd be cowed. But I guess that's just a misreading on my part. Again, Kathy is the more, up until this point, because I feel like there is going to be both ways. But Kathy, to me, seems the more abusive at this point. It's an insult to your dentist. Like, Heathcliff still is almost holding out some hope for Kathy, and Kathy's holding out hope for Heathcliff. They're torturing each other. Kathy is a bit more abusive. Heathcliff is a bit more manipulative. Maybe they're both manipulative. It's interesting that he's cowed here, because is that him being resigned? I don't know. I gotta sneeze. Like, somewhat cowed by her violent rating, apparently. Like, that is fascinating to me. Yeah, honestly, that's a great reading, I think. He's more willing to just wait and bide his time. Kathy's, like, just in a fury. It is just an interesting idea because I guess he is stern and he's not great, but he is prone to being cowed, I guess. All right, let's keep reading. He saw the master first and made a hasty motion that she should be silent, which she obeyed, abruptly on discovering the reason of his intimation. "How is this?" said Linton, addressing her. "What notion of propriety must you have to remain here after the language which I have been held to you by that blackguard? I suppose because it is his ordinary talk, you think of nothing of it. You are habituated to his baseness, and perhaps imagine I can get used to it too." "Have you been listening at the door, Edgar?" asked the mistress, in a tone particularly calculated to provoke her husband, implying both carelessness and contempt of his irritation. Heathcliff, who had raised his eyes at his former speech, gave a sneering laugh at the latter, on purpose, it seemed, to draw Mr. Linton's attention to him. He succeeded, but Edgar did not mean to entertain him with any high flights of passion. I've been so far forbearing with you, sir, he said quietly. Not that I was ignorant of your miserable, degraded behavior, but I felt you were only partly responsible for that, and Catherine, wishing to keep up your acquaintance, I acquiesced, foolishly. Your presence is a moral poison that would contaminate the most virtuous. For that cause, and to prevent worse consequences, I shall deny you hereafter admission into this house, and give notice now that I require your instant departure. 3 minutes delay will render it involuntarily ignominious. Heathcliff measured the height and breadth of the speaker with an eye full of derision. Cathy, this lamb of yours threatens like a bull, he said. It is in danger of splitting its skull against my knuckles. There you go. There's his violence. By God, Mr. Linton, I'm mortally sorry that you were not worth knocking down. That's interesting. Heathcliff is violent with everyone else except for her. Or at least he talks a big game around everyone else. He hasn't really enacted violence on anybody, but he talks a big game. It's crazy that I just keep thinking about this, about how in the movie they made this into a love story. Like, I keep thinking maybe it actually will turn into... I don't actually think that it's going to turn into a love story. But I'm like, maybe there's going to be something that's, like, romantic here. But there's nothing. I don't understand how she could interpret this text as romantic. Yeah, I pity Hareton too. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for a few characters in this book, but Hareton just didn't deserve it. All right, let's keep reading. My master glanced toward the passage and signed me to fetch the men. He had no intention of hazarding a personal encounter. I obeyed the hint, but Mrs. Linton, suspecting something, followed. And when I attempted to call them, she pulled me back, slammed the door to, and locked it. Fair means, she said, in answer to her husband's look of angry surprise. If you have not the courage to attack him, make an apology, or allow yourself to be beaten. It will correct you of feigning more valor than you possess. Now I'll swallow the key before you shall get it. I'm delightfully rewarded for my kindness to each, after constant indulgence of one's weak nature. And the other's bad one I earned for thanks, 2 samples of blind ingratitude, stupid to absurdity. Edgar, I was defending you in yours, and I wish Heathcliff may flog you sick for daring to think an evil thought of me. I did not need the medium of a flogging to produce that effect on the master. He tried to wrest the key from Catherine's grasp, and for safety she flung it into the hottest part of the fire, whereupon Mr. Edgar was taken with a nervous trembling, and his countenance grew deadly pale. For his life he could not avert that access of emotion. Mingled anguish and humiliation overcame him completely. He leant on the back of his chair and covered his face. Oh heavens! In old days this would win you knighthood, exclaimed Mrs. Linton. We are vanquished. Heathcliff would as soon as lift a finger at you as the king wouldn't march his army against a colony of mice. Cheer up. You shan't be hurt. Your type is not a limb. It's a sucking leveret, a young hare, which is one of some of Emily's old poem, apparently. I wish you joy of the milk-blood coward, Cathy, said her friend. I compliment you on your taste, and that is a slavering, shivering thing you preferred to me. I would not strike him with my fist, but I'd kick him with my foot and experience considerable satisfaction. Is he weeping, or is he going to faint for fear? The fellow approached and gave the chair on which Linton rested a push. He better have kept his distance. My master quickly sprang erect and struck him full in the throat with a blow that would have leveled a slighter man. Whoa! It took his breath for a minute, and while he choked, Mr. Linton walked out by the back door into the yard, and from thence to the front entrance. Whoa! Dang, I did not expect that, actually. Linton struck first. Hans shot first. Linton shot first. There, you've done with coming here, cried Catherine. Get away now. He'll return with a brace of pistols and half a dozen assistants. If he did overhear us, of course, he'd never forgive you. You've played me an ill turn, Heathcliff. But go, make haste. I'd rather see Edgar at bay than you. Do you suppose I'm going with that blow burning in my gullet? He thundered. By hell no, I'll crush his ribs like a rotten hazelnut before I cross the threshold. If I don't floor him now, I shall murder him sometime. So, as you value his existence, let me get at him. He is not coming, I interposed, framing a bit of a lie. There's the coachman and the two gardeners. You'll surely not wait to be thrust into the road by them. Each has a bludgeon, and master will very likely be watching from the parlor windows to see that they fulfill his orders. The gardeners and coachman were there, but Linton was with them. They had already entered the court. Heathcliff, on second thought, resolved to avoid a struggle against three underlings. He seized the poker, smashed the lock from the inner door, and made his escape as they trampled in. Mrs. Linton, who was very much excited, bid me accompany her upstairs. She did not know my share in contributing to the disturbance. I was anxious to keep her in ignorance. What do you think this means right here? Mrs. Linton, who was very much excited. Does excited there mean what it obviously means in our language? Like, is she like thrilled by all this happening? Or do you think that this is like excited, like maybe like a little older terminology would be like her poor nerves, like agitated, worked up? Yeah, okay. I was kind of thinking that. Like she's like worked up for this. She needs to go. Okay. Excited, upset, wound up. Okay. That makes sense. It's funny that now this means excited, and I can actually see how she would get excited over this. Like she's upset, but like this is probably what gets her going a little bit. Ay. Yeah, have compassion on her poor nerves. The BBC version of Mrs. Bennet is great. Oh, she's so annoying. She's so great. I don't know what her name is, but dang, she's good. All right. Let's keep reading. I'm nearly distracted, Nellie, she exclaimed, throwing herself on the sofa. 1,000 smiths' hammers are beating in my head. Tell Isabella to shun me. This uproar is owing to her. And should she or anyone else aggravate my anger at present, I shall get wild. And Nellie, say to Edgar if you see him again tonight that I'm in danger of being seriously ill. I wish it may prove true. He has startled and distressed me shockingly. I want to frighten him. Besides, he might come and begin a string of abusive or complainings. I'm certain I should recriminate, and God knows where we should end. Will you do so, my good Nellie? You are aware that I am no way blamable in this matter. What possessed him to turn, listener? Heathcliff's talk was outrageous after you left us, but I could soon have diverted him from Isabella, and the rest meant nothing. Now all is dashed wrong by the fool's craving to hear evil of self that haunts some people like a demon. Had Edgar never gathered our conversations, he would never have been the worse for it. Really, he opened on me that unreasonable tone of displeasure after I had scolded Heathcliff till I was hoarse for him. I did not care hardly, what they did to each other, especially as I felt that, however the scene closed, we should all be driven asunder for nobody knows how long. Well, I cannot keep Heathcliff for my friend. If Edgar will be mean and jealous, I'll try to break their hearts by breaking my own. That will be a prompt way of finishing all, when I am pushed to extremity. But it's a deed to be reserved for a forlorn hope. I'd not take Linton by surprise with it. To this point, he has been discreet in dreading to provoke me. You must represent the peril of quitting that policy, and remind him of my passionate temper, verging when kindled on frenzy. I wish you could dismiss that apathy out of your countenance and look rather more anxious about me. The stolidity with which I received the instructions was, no doubt, rather exasperating. Yes, for they were delivered in perfect sincerity, but I believe the person who could plan the turning of her fits of passion to account beforehand might, by exerting her will, manage to control herself tolerably, even while under their influence. I did not wish to frighten her husband, as she said, and multiply his annoyances for the purpose of serving her selfishness. Therefore I said nothing when I met the master coming toward the parlor, but I took liberty of turning back to listen whether they should resume their quarrel together. He began to speak first. Remain where you are, Catherine, he said, without any anger in his voice, but with much sorrowful despondency. I shall not stay. I am neither come to wrangle nor be reconciled, but I wish to learn whether, after this evening's events, you intend to continue your intimacy with blank. For mercy's sake, interrupted the mistress, stamping her foot. For mercy's sake, let us hear no more of it now. Your cold blood cannot be worked into a fever. Your veins are full of ice water. But mine are boiling, and the sight of such chilliness makes them dance. Now, okay, that's another interesting idea. He's obviously come to say, are you going to continue your intimacy with Heathcliff? But is there any reading where he would say, are you going to continue your intimacy with me? Yeah, some of these speeches, like, she is so manipulative and so terrible in her speeches. People like Catherine can't imagine ever doing anything wrong. Yep. Yeah, Heathcliff is the only name that makes sense to me, but in Edgar's mind, like, he's not necessarily the healthiest person either. Like, does he still really desire to have intimacy with Catherine? But like, he's just, sometimes he seems to keep coming back to like his past bad behavior. I don't know. A passion addict, honestly. That's a great word for it. Yeah, in 19th century society, she doesn't have a choice for sure. Yeah, it does seem like that to me too. BPD and bipolar. Yeah, I know intimacy doesn't mean sex, but yeah, it definitely makes sense that it's Heathcliff. But I feel like in the back of his head he's going, I wonder if she's like still wants to know me. It's strange. It is really sad that he actually still, yeah, I kind of believe you're right there. Like, he still believes in her goodness, which is really tragic. Like, this is like someone trying to deal with someone who's like, what does Edgar do in this situation? That's another interesting, maybe that's a video. What does Edgar do? I don't know how you deal with someone like this. I know in certain ways of like someone who's not like you're not married to. I know how to deal with someone like Kathy that I don't have a deep relationship with. Just keep it at arm's length. Don't engage this kind of stuff. But if this is like your mother, or this is like your wife or your sister or your brother or whatever it is, what do you do? For sure, there should probably be like a cutting off. And it was interesting because they were able to almost manage it when Heathcliff wasn't around, but now that he's back, she's like turning into like a crazy person again. You could lock her in the attic. I don't know if that would work. Sea bathing. These are all like the suggestions of like that society. None of this stuff would work. Like we need some medication, but still, would medication really even solve a lot of problems here? This seems almost like different. Yeah, she was just stuffed, but she was at least they could like tolerate her when Heathcliff wasn't around. Now it's like they can't do anything. Nothing a good dose of tuberculosis won't fix. Is that Rebecca? Was Rebecca locked in a attic or something? Honestly, a psych ward is probably like what she actually needs, but I don't know if psych wards really existed back then. She wasn't truly her own self. Totally agree with that. That's why this is tragic, because they have their childhood kind of ripped away from them. They weren't able to be children, and so now they're just dysfunctional adults. A character in Rebecca, okay. Yeah, I'm actually with you too. Like that's probably like the choice, but it's probably not the choice in this society. Like I'm sure that you can't really divorce. Man, it's brutal. All right, let's keep reading. Let's finish this chapter. Your blood cannot be worked into a fever. Your veins are full of ice water, but mine are boiling, and the sight of such chilliness makes them dance. To get rid of me, answer my question, persevered Mr. Linton. You must answer it, and that violence does not alarm me. I have found that you can be as stoical as anyone, when you please. Will you give up Heathcliff hereafter, or will you give up me? It is impossible for you to be my friend and his at the same time. I absolutely require to know which you choose. I require to be let alone, exclaimed Catherine furiously. I demand it. Don't you see I can scarcely stand? Edgar, you leave me. There's her answer. She rung the bell till it broke with a twang. I entered leisurely. It was enough to try the temper of a saint, such senseless, wicked rages. There she lay, dashing her head against the arm of the sofa and grinding her teeth, so you might fancy she would crash them into splinters. Mr. Linton stood looking at her in sudden compunction. Compunction? What does compunction mean? And fear. He told me to fetch some water. She had no breath for speaking. This is a child. You're dealing with a child here who is holding their breath, saying, "I'm gonna die." This is like a honestly, no, I was gonna compare it to Mrs. Bennet, but it's like a Mrs. Bennet times 1,000. It's an abusive Mrs. Bennet, but 1,000 times worse. It's all woe is me. She's such a child. I brought a glassful, and as she would not drink, I sprinkled it on her face. Honestly, okay, let's talk about that. This might be the best way to do things. Get a bucket of ice water and just dump it on her. Get her to come to her senses there. In a few seconds, she stretched herself out stiff and turned up her eyes, while her cheeks, at once blanched and livid, assumed the aspect of death. Linton looked terrified. "There's nothing in the world the matter," I whispered. I did not want him to yield. though I could not help being afraid in my heart. She has blood on her lips, he said, shuddering. Never mind, I answered tartly. She has blood on her lips. Did she bite her lip? And I told him how she had resolved previously to his coming, on exhibiting a fit of frenzy. I incautiously gave the account aloud, and she heard me, for she started up, her hair flying over her shoulders, her eyes flashing, the muscles of her neck and arms standing out preternaturally. I made up my mind for broken bones, at least. But she only glared about her for an instant and then rushed from the room. The master directed me to follow. I did, to her chamber door. She hindered me from going further by securing it against me. As she never offered to descend her breakfast next morning, I went to ask whether she would have some carried up. No, she replied, peremptorily. The same question was repeated at dinner and tea, and again on the morrow, and received the same answer. Gosh, she's like, this is like a hunger strike on her part. Mr. Linton, on his part, spent some time in the library and did not inquire concerning his wife's occupations. Isabella and he had an hour's interview, during which he tried to elicit from her some sentiment of proper horror for Heathcliff's advances. But he could make nothing of her evasive replies, and was obliged to close the examination unsatisfactorily, adding, however, a solemn warning that if she were so insane as to encourage that worthless suitor, it would dissolve all bonds of relationship between herself and him. Like, I know what Edgar is trying to do, because there's a point where, yes, you have to be firm and put your foot down. But he's also acting stupidly in this, in saying, hey, if you don't do things, and I'll never, this is like, he's almost like a Mrs. Bennet too. Like, if you see him again, we're not going to have a relationship anymore. Which is honestly is probably the truth, but he also needs to approach this in a different way. Like, and it's hard because he can't approach it in any way. He can't be rational with these people. He can't like say, hey, let's have an actual discussion on why this guy is terrible and why you shouldn't be with him and why you shouldn't fall prey to him. She's a young, infatuated woman. How are you going to convince her of that? This isn't like trying to convince a Lydia that she shouldn't be with Wickham. This really is like Pride and Prejudice, but imagine everyone in Pride and Prejudice is worse and way more dysfunctional and abusive. Oh, all right, guys, I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick because I had too much tea and orange juice. I'll be back in a bit. I'll play you guys some music in the meantime. Ay. I'll be back. We're back. I know. I was thinking about that. I was gonna play the Deus Irae. What is that called again? This music is a playlist to feel like a villain plotting his revenge. It just felt so appropriate. Ay, ay. Kathy is genuinely sick. Totally agree. Everyone's sick in this. I don't think that she has schizophrenia. I feel like that's not it. I honestly don't know if it's borderline either. Because she's very consistent with her attitude. Like, I don't know. This is brutal. Yeah, Adagio for Strings is one of my favorite pieces of music ever. We should play that after every stream as a cleanse. Yeah, honestly, I think the diagnosis is pride and selfishness. Honestly, I don't know if it's anything else besides that she was abused as a child. Now she's abusive now, and they all have black mold. They've been inhaling that. Honestly, I'm actually kind of with that theory. Why is everyone so bad? Because they're all inhaling black mold and it's messing with their brain. But my issue with like is bipolar 1, like Kathy is very consistent with her behavior. She's just, yeah, almost she's an addict. They're all addicts in some way. They're addicted to certain things. One is addicted to revenge. The other is addicted to affection of two people. And another person's addicted, like Edgar seems addicted to being a savior. Yeah, it's all trauma. I've never even I haven't looked into histrionic personality disorder either. I gotta check that out. Honestly, addicted to her own emotions is pretty much it too. What a bunch of turds. All right, let's keep reading. We gotta get through 30 more pages of this, guys. The next chapter is a long one. All right. I just keep thinking, if you're Edgar, what do you do in Edgar's situation? What do you do if you're Edgar in this? I don't know. I don't know. I gotta turn the there you go. Now I'm not too bright. We can't be too bright in this novel when I'm reading because that's the setting. I should go in the total dark. I gotta turn the ISO down on my camera way more. So we're reading this in the dark. Let's say lock himself in the library like Mr. Bennett. Yeah, after you realize you married the wrong person, you probably shouldn't have proposed after she slaps him. He's stupid for doing that. Maybe take her a long trip or something like that. I don't know. But if they take her away, I mean, maybe for that year that they take her away, she would go into fits of rage. She would be insufferable. Take a mistress. It is just such an interesting idea for what he could do. Like, taking her away, yes, but like she needs to just see what healthy people do. Maybe I don't know. That probably wouldn't work, to be completely honest. Tragic drowning accident in Venice. Ay, ay, ay. All right, guys, let's get on to the next chapter. I think it's so funny too how like half of us can't deal with this book anymore. So like the streams are becoming less and less people because we're at our wits' end here. What do we do? This novel is so difficult. All right, here we go. Chapter 12. While Miss Linton moped about the park and garden, always silent, and almost always in tears, her brother shut himself up in among books that he never opened. Wearying, I guess, with some continual vague expectation that Catherine, repenting her conduct, would come out of her own accord to ask pardon and seek a reconciliation. So he's expecting what a normal human being might do. He ain't getting that. He is not going to get that. Which makes me sad for Edgar because I think he's expecting that. He still has a hope that she's normal. And she fasted pertinaciously under the idea, probably that at every meal Edgar was ready to choke for her absence. There you go. And pride alone held him from running to cast himself at her feet. I went about to my household duties, convinced that the Grange had but one sensible soul in its walls, and that lodged in my body. There you go. We got some comedy here, guys. That's great. I wasted no condolences on Miss, nor any expostulations on my mistress, nor did I pay any attention to the sighs of my master, who yearned to hear his lady's name, since he might not hear her voice. I determined that they should come about as they pleased for me, and thought it was tiresomely slow process. I began to rejoice at length in a faint dawn of its progress, as I thought at first. Mrs. Linton on the third day unbarred her door, and having finished the water in her pitcher and decanter, desired a renewed supply, and a basin of gruel, for she believed she was dying. That I set down as a speech for Edgar's ears. I believed no such thing, so I kept it to myself, and brought her some tea and dry toast. She ate and drank eagerly, and sank back on her pillow again, clenching her hands and groaning. "Oh, I will die," she exclaimed, "since no one cares anything about me. I wish I had not taken that." Then, a good while after, I heard her murmur, "No, I'll not die. He'd be glad. He does not love me at all. He would never miss me." Oh, gosh. Kathy, shut up. This is brutal. "Did you want anything, ma'am?" I inquired, still preserving my external composure in spite of her ghastly countenance and strange, exaggerated manner. "What is that apathetic being doing?" she demanded, pushing the thick, entangled locks from her wasted face. "Has he fallen into lethargy, or is he dead?" "Neither," replied I, "if you mean Mr. Linton. He is tolerably well, I think, though his studies occupy him rather more than they ought. He is continually among his books, since he has no other society." I should not have spoken so if I had known her true condition. But I could not get rid of the notion that she acted a part of her disorder. Now, Nellie's not doing a great job with this also. Like, Nellie's the only logical character in this, but this isn't a great move on her part. She's like heaping more insult. I guess like this is a very human response. Like, I would probably do this too. I'd be like angry at Kathy, and I would probably say stuff like this. But yeah, making decisions way above her standing. It's a great way to put it. Like, she shouldn't be doing some of this kind of stuff. She just needs to be serving. She makes a lot of dubious decisions. "Among his books," she cried, confounded. "And I dying? I on the brink of the grave? My God, does he not know how I'm altered?" continued she, staring at her reflection in a mirror, hanging against the opposite wall. Is that Catherine Linton? He imagines me in a pet, in play perhaps. Cannot you inform him that he is frightful earnest? That it is frightful earnest? Nelly, if it be not too late, as soon as I learn how he feels, I shall choose between these two. Either starve at once, that would be no punishment unless he had a heart, or to recover and leave the country. Are you speaking the truth about him? Take care. Is he actually so utterly indifferent for my life? Why, ma'am, I answered, the master has no idea of your being deranged. And of course he does not fear that you will let yourself die of hunger. You think not? Cannot you tell him I will, she returned. Persuade him. Speak your own mind. Say you are certain I will. I will. I'm guessing that just means some parallel can be drawn between Catherine's own part of her illness and Emily's persistent and willful talk toward death. I'm guessing that's a poem. Persistent and willful walk toward death. What is that? Shut up, woman. Yes, for real. She just gotta shut up. Oh my gosh. I know, I gotta read this more dramatically so that we can at least laugh from some of these lines, because some of these are like so absurd that they're actually comedic. Yeah, it's interesting because I do actually think that she has a weak ego, but that's the only thing that she actually does have at the same time. Like, she has a very weak sense of self, but that's the only strong thing that she actually has. It's such a weird dichotomy to me. Because maybe this is it. Maybe she plays the role of having a weak ego. Like, outwardly, she looks like she has a weak ego. Inwardly, she is... That's her thing. Imagine the Muppets adapting this. Dude, that is actually so funny. What's the one Muppet that looks like a curmudgeon the whole time? He's like, got like that face. That is so funny. Or everyone would be Animal. Everyone, Sam the Eagle. Yeah. Everyone would be Sam the Eagle and Animal. That is so funny. Guys, we really have to do that. We really got to get the Muppets to make the Wuthering Heights. That would be so great. Yeah. All right, let's keep reading. You guys give me some good casting for the Muppets Wuthering Heights. What would they call it? What would the Wuthering Heights adaptation be called for the Muppets? Just in front of the Muppets. Absolutely. No, you forget, Mrs. Linton, I suggested, that you have eaten some food with a relish this evening, and tomorrow you will perceive its good effects. If I were only sure it would kill him, she interrupted, I'd kill myself directly. That is absurd. Smithereen Heights. These 3 awful nights, I've never closed my lids, and oh, I've been tormented. I've been hunted, Nelly. I've been hunted? Psychosis? Like, that is, I mean, if I were only sure it would kill him, I'd kill myself directly. Hunted, but still, it's hunted. Oh no, haunted. I've been haunted, Nelly. Okay, dang it. Freaking misreading of an A, and I was coming up with psychosis theories. Still, haunted is kind of psychotic too. But I begin to fancy you don't like me. How strange. I thought everybody hated and despised each other. They could not avoid loving me. She is absurd. Everything that she says, I just want to shove it back in her mouth. And they have all turned to enemies in a few hours. They have. I'm positive the people here. How dreary to meet death surrounded by their cold faces. Isabella terrified and repelled, afraid to enter the room. It would be so dreadful to watch Catherine go, and Edgar standing solemnly by to see it over. Then offering prayers of thanks to God for restoring peace to his house and going back to his books. What in the name of all that feels has he has to do with books when I am dying? She could not bear the notion which I had put into her head of Mr. Linton's philosophical resignation. Tossing about, she increased her feverish bewilderment into madness and tore the pillow with her teeth. Then raising herself up, all burning, desired that I would open the window. We were in the middle of winter. The wind blew strong from the northeast, and I objected. Both the expressions flitting over her face and the changes of her moods began to alarm me terribly, and brought to my recollections her former illness and the doctor's injunction that she should not be crossed. Yeah, you got that right. A minute previously... Now, is there a double meaning in that she should not be crossed here? Like, this is the doctor ordering it, but is this also the like the sign of the cross? I mean, that's not, they don't do that in Anglicanism, right? So probably not. But I feel like there's maybe some kind of double meaning in that. Like the doctor saying that that she should not be crossed, but also the curate might be saying that she should not be crossed. Like she's irredeemable. She's going straight to hell. Honestly, like, yeah, they need a crossing. Yeah, not giving her any mental stress. I kind of agree with you there, but in my head, I'm like, there could be a little double meaning there. Like, not really anything that she intended, but like, something afterward to come to that. I feel like there's a fun little double meaning. Yeah, crosses and mood for sure. It would be called blessed. Okay, interesting. She needs to be bathed in holy water. Yeah. Honestly, they need to call an exorcist right here. This is like, let's fully embrace the Halloween narrative of this. And let's do a little exorcism. This is so horror coded. A minute previously she was violent. Now, supported on one arm and not noticing my refusal to obey her, she seemed to find childish diversion in pulling the feathers from the rents she had just made and arranging them on sheets according to their different species. Her mind had strayed to other associations. Okay, so I take back some of what I said in that she's consistent. She's not really consistent, but her inconsistencies are one of childish fits to full-on abusive adult derangement and fighting. Like, she does flirt back and forth between those two things. She's a 5-year-old child, which could hint to like that's her place of safety. Her inconsistencies are consistent. Honestly, it's valid. Man. And she knows her feather species. Look at this. That's a turkey, she murmured to herself. And this is a wild duck. And this is a pigeon. Ah, they put pigeon feathers in the pillows. No wonder I couldn't die. What? The soul cannot free itself if the dying person has been laid on a bed containing pigeon feathers. Instances are on record of pigeon feathers having been placed in a small bag and thrust under dying persons to hold back the arrival of some loved one. But the meeting having taken place, the feathers were withdrawn and the death allowed to enter. Weird. Yeah, Nemo, I'm kind of with you. I don't think she... part of me thinks she knows. Part of me thinks she's not. She doesn't. Like, I do think that she's malicious and, like, has intent on knowing this stuff. But at some point, like... And that's why I think these two things flip back and forth in my mind. Because in her current state right now, like, when she's counting these pigeon feathers, she doesn't know what she's doing. Like, if she were to be nasty and mean in this moment, she wouldn't know. That's why I almost think it's like split personality, which isn't really a thing, right? Isn't like science, like split personality isn't like an actual thing anymore. But when she's in her state that she was in the last chapter, I think that she does know what she's doing. I think she actually is very calculated in what she's doing, and I think she knows she's gaslighting people. But in this state that she's in right now, I don't think she does. Yeah, I'm with you, lady. It just feels like we're like Nelly is like there's something we don't know. I don't know. Yeah, emotional fits. Yeah, don't coddle her. Let me take care to throw it on the floor when I lie down. And here is a moorcock's. And this, I should know it among 1,000, is a lapwing's. Bonny bird, wheeling over our heads the middle of the moor. It wanted to get its nest, for the clouds touched the swells. Hills, eminence, or upland with a smooth, rounded outline. And felt rain coming. The feather was picked up from the heath. The bird was not shot. We saw its nest in the winter full of little skeletons. Heathcliff set a trap over it. And the old ones dare not come. I made him promise he'd never shoot a lapwing after that. And he didn't. Yes, here are more. Did he shoot my lapwings, Nellie? Are they red, any of them? Let me look. Now, again, she just seems like a child here. Like, is she speaking... I don't know. Is she speaking of the past? Like, it seems like she's speaking of her childhood. Give over that baby's work, I interrupted, or that baby work, I interrupted, dragging the pillow away and turning the holes toward the mattress, for she was removing its contents by handfuls. Lie down and shut your eyes. You're wandering. There's a mess. The down is flying about like snow. I went here and there collecting it. I see in you, Nellie, she continued dreamily, an aged woman. You have gray hair and bent shoulders. This bed is the fairy cave under Penstone Crag, and you are gathering elf bolts. Flint-head arrows? To hurt our heifers, pretending while I am near that they are only locks of wool. That's what you'll come to 50 years hence. I know you are not so now. I'm not wandering. You're mistaken, or else I should believe you really were that withered hag. And I should think I was under Penstone Crag, and I'm conscious it's night. And there are 2 candles on the table, making the black press shine like jet. The black press? Where is that, I asked. You're talking in your sleep. Feels like that. It's against the wall, as it always is, she replied. It does appear odd. I see a face in it. There's no press in the room. And never was, said I, resuming my seat and looping up the curtain that I might watch her. Don't you see that face? She inquired, gazing earnestly at the mirror. She's seeing things. Ay, ay, ay. And say what I could, I was incapable of making her comprehend it to be her own. So I rose and covered it with a shawl. It's behind there still, she pursued anxiously, and it stirred. Who is it? I hope it will not come out when you are gone. Oh, Nellie, the room is haunted. I'm afraid of being alone. I took her hand in mine and bid her be composed. For a succession of shudders convulsed her frame, and she would keep straining her gaze toward the glass. There's nobody here, I insisted. It was yourself, Mrs. Linton. You knew it a while since. Myself, she gasped. And the clock is striking 12. It's true, then. That's dreadful. Her fingers clutched the clothes, and gathered them over her eyes. I attempted to steal the door with an intention of calling her husband, but I was summoned back by a piercing shriek. The shawl had dropped from the frame. Why, what is the matter? Cried I. Who is coward now? Wake up. That is the glass, the mirror, Mrs. Linton, and you see yourself in it. And there am I too by your side. Trembling and bewildered, she held me fast, but the horror gradually passed from her countenance. Its paleness gave place to a glow of shame. Oh dear, I thought. I was at home, she sighed. I thought I was lying in my chamber at Wuthering Heights because I'm weak. My brain got confused and I screamed unconsciously, saying anything, or don't say anything, but stay with me. I dread sleeping. My dreams appall me. A sound sleep would do you good, ma'am, I answered, and I hope this suffering will prevent your trying starving again. Oh, if I were but in my own bed in the old house, she went on bitterly, wringing her hands. And that wind sounding in the firs by the lattice. Do let me feel it. It comes straight down the moor. Do let me have one breath. This is so crazy. Because she seems to be manipulating her to some extent. This is why, like this, it was a joke earlier on, but does she actually need an exorcism? Is this legitimately some demon possession right now? And this demon is speaking through her, trying to get her to be so dysfunctional as to go back to Wuthering Heights. Because this, yes, Kathy's an idiot. And yes, she would be manipulating, trying to get back to Wuthering Heights so she can be with Heathcliff. But is she that stupid that she thinks that this would actually work in manipulating Nellie to get her back with, back into Wuthering Heights? This is so absurd. This is not this is the most obvious statement ever. This is not normal. She's some demon possessed woman right here. Time out. I need to text my friend asking why she likes this book so much. All right. Where are they? Why do you like... Let's see what she says. Yeah, she's ill and she's hallucinating for sure, but still, this just seems overboard on this. She's definitely hallucinating, but this hallucination seems different from a normal hallucination. I gotta retext her and say I'm only halfway through. All right, let's keep reading. I don't know what a normal hallucination is, to be completely honest. Like in my head, a normal hallucination, like I think of anybody into running. Courtney Dauwalter. I don't know if I've ever had a hallucination in my life. Like hallucination happens after like exhaustion, something like that. Like Courtney Dauwalter is a ultra runner. She runs like 200-mile races. She does like crazy stuff. And she's had a lot of hallucinations when she's been running. She like loves what she calls the pain cave. And she has this hallucination when she runs of a cheetah laying in a hammock. And that's like merch. She has like merch with that, which is crazy. But that's like, after extreme stuff like that, Kathy, to be honest, why I think it's almost like demon possession. Like, what is she doing to hallucinate? She's under extreme fits of emotion, but how are those extreme fits of emotion brought on by this? Like a hallucination to me happens under significantly more duress. Maybe I'm totally wrong about that. I don't know. I've never had really a hallucination. All right, guys, let's keep reading. It's a long chapter. This is brutal. Yeah, she's fasting. That's a great point. She's fasting. She's just eating. Yeah, that's valid. She is addicted to Heathcliff. Yeah, go mad and hallucinate at the drop of a hat. It's true in old literature like this. It is crazy to me. All right, let's keep reading. Let's get this chapter over with. To pacify her, I held the casement ajar a few seconds. A cold blast rushed through. I closed it and returned to my post. She lay still now, her face bathed in tears. Exhaustion of body had entirely subdued her spirit. Our fiery Catherine was no better than a wailing child. How long it is since I shut myself in here, she asked, suddenly reviving. Interesting. It was Monday evening, I replied. And this is Thursday night, or rather Friday morning at present. What, of the same week, she proclaimed? Only that brief time? Long enough to live on nothing but cold water and ill temper, I observed. Well, it seems a weary number of hours, she muttered, doubtfully. It must be more. I remembered being in the parlor after they had quarreled, and Edgar being cruelly provoking me, and being cruelly provoking, and me running into this room desperate as soon as I ever had barred the door. Utter blackness overwhelmed me, and I fell on the floor. I couldn't explain to Edgar how certain I felt of having a fit, on going raging mad, if he persisted in teasing me. I had no command of tongue or brain, and he did not guess my agony, perhaps. It barely left me sense to try to escape from him and his voice before I recovered sufficiently to see and hear. It began to be dawn. And Nellie, I'll tell you what I thought, and what has kept recurring and recurring till I feared for my reason. I thought as I lay here with my head against the table leg, and my eyes dimly discerning the gray square of the window, that I was enclosed in the oak-paneled bed at home, and my heart ached with some great grief which, just waking, I could not recollect. I pondered and worried myself to discover what it could be, and most strangely, the whole last 7 years of my life grew a blank. I did not recall that they had been at all. I was a child. That's interesting, because I was thinking that. My father was just buried, and my misery arose from the separation that Hindley had ordered between me and Heathcliff. I was laid alone for the first time, and rousing from a dismal doze after a night of weeping, I lifted my hands to push the panels aside. It struck the tabletop and swept it along the carpet, and then memory burst in. My late anguish was swallowed in a paroxysm of despair. I cannot say why I felt so wildly wretched. It must have been temporary derangement, for there is scarcely cause. But supposing at 12 years old I had been wrenched from the heights, and every early association in all my life as Heathcliff was at the time, and been converted at a stroke into Mrs. Linton, the lady of Thrushcross Grange, and the wife of a stranger, an exile and an outcast there thenceforth, from what had been my world. You may fancy a glimpse of the abyss where I groveled. Shake your head as you will, Nellie. You have helped to unsettle me. You should have spoken to Edgar. Indeed, you should, and compelled him to leave me quiet. Oh, I'm burning. I wish I were out of doors. I wish I were a girl again, half savage and hardy and free. Interesting. Okay. I wish I were a girl again. That's an interesting line. Half savage and hardy and free. And laughing at injuries, not maddening under them. Why am I so unchanged? Or why am I so changed? Why does my blood rush into a hell of tumult at a few words? I'm sure I should be myself were I once among the heather on those hills. Open the window again, wide. Fasten it open, quick. Why don't you move? Because I won't give you your death of cold, I answered. You won't give me a chance of life, you mean, she said sullenly. However, I'm not helpless yet. I'll open it myself. Now, this is interesting because this is like the I'm not going to say she's rational here because she's hallucinating. This is the most rational we've seen Kathy in a long time. My friend goes, it's so dark, but it's so well written. Just wait. It gets worse. She says, just remember I was a little emo kid, so it's nostalgic. Yeah, she has to go mad to be rational. Ay, she's crazy. Seven years ago, she was, captured by the Lintons. Catnip for emo kids. That is so funny. It is really well written, but this is brutal. And sliding from the bed before I could hinder her, she crossed the room, walking very uncertainly, threw it back, and bent out carelessly of the frosty air that cut about her shoulders as keen as a knife. I entreated and finally attempted to force her to retire, but I soon found her delirious strength much surpassed mine. She was delirious. I became convinced by her subsequent actions and ravings. That is telling to me. Whoa, that's an interesting line where she essentially becomes the Hulk. She becomes crazy strong in this moment. Well, I mean, it's Nellie, so it's like, but it's far surpassing Nellie's strength. Much surpassed mine. I mean, delirious strength can definitely do that, but this is like psych patient stuff. Yeah, and Nellie's a working woman too. Like, this is like I don't want to keep saying it, but demon possession. Like, there's something weird in her that's giving her this strength. It could be adrenaline, but her adrenaline just seems sapped right now. Yeah, again, this is like the adrenaline motion, like a mother lifting a car off her child. And so in Catherine's case, it's her out strengthening Nellie like easily. And this is such a fascinating study on the strength of the human body and the capabilities of the human body. But it's like unbridled strength, which is really interesting. This is so crazy. Yeah, the crazy strength of mad people. Yeah. It was an accepted medical phenomenon at the time. Interesting. For sure. So strong and yet so easily able to just be dethroned and be completely weak at the same time. Crazy. It's terrifying to me. She hasn't eaten. It's a great point. This is crazy. It's so fascinating. It's a great point. There was no moon, and everything beneath lay in misty darkness. Not a light gleamed from any house, far or near. All had been extinguished long ago, and those at Wuthering Heights were never visible. Still, she asserted she caught their shining. Look, she cried eagerly. That's my room with the candle in it. And the tree swaying before it, and the other candle is in Joseph's garret. Joseph sits up late, doesn't he? He's waiting till I come home that he may lock the gate. Well, he'll wait a while yet. It's a rough journey, and a sad heart to travel it, and we must pass by Gimmerton Kirk to go that journey. We've braved its ghosts often together, and dared each other to stand among the graves and ask them to come. But Heathcliff, I dare you now. Will you venture? If you do, I'll keep you. I'll not lie there by myself. They may bury me 12 feet deep and throw the church down over me. But I won't rest till you are with me. I never will. She paused and resumed with a strange smile. He's considering. He'd rather I'd come to him. Find a way then. Not through the kirkyard. You are slow. Be content. You always followed me. Perceiving it vain to argue against her insanity, I was planning how I could reach something to rap about her. Honestly, she needs a straitjacket right now. It's like such a valid idea. Without quitting my hold of herself, for I could not trust her alone by the gaping lattice, when to my consternation I heard the rattle of the door handle and Mr. Linton enter. He had only then come from the library, and in passing through the lobby had noticed our talking and been attracted by curiosity or fear to examine what it signified at that late hour. "Oh, sir," I cried, checking the exclamation risen at his lips at the sight which met him, and the bleak atmosphere of the chamber. "My poor mistress is ill, and she quite masters me. I cannot manage her at all. Pray, come and persuade her to go to bed. Forget your anger. She's hard to guide anyway, but her own." "Catherine ill?" he said, hastening to us. "Shut the window, Ellen. Catherine." "Why?" He was silent. The haggardness of Mrs. Linton's appearance smote him speechless, and he could only glance from her to me in horrified astonishment. "She's been fretting here," I continued, "and eating scarcely anything and never complaining. She would admit none of us till this evening, and so we couldn't inform you of her state, as we were not aware of it ourselves, but it is nothing." I uttered my explanations awkwardly. The master frowned. "It is nothing, is it, Ellen Dean?" he said sternly. "You shall account more clearly for keeping me ignorant of this." And he took his wife in his arms and looked at her with anguish. At first she gave him no glance of recognition. He was invisible to her abstracted gaze. The delirium was not fixed, however. Having weaned her eyes from contempt the outer darkness, by degree she centered her attention on him, and discovered who it was that held her. "Ah, you are come, are you, Edgar Linton?" she said with angry animation. "You are one of those things that are ever found when least wanted, and when you are wanted, never. I suppose we shall have plenty of lamentations now. I see we shall. But they can't keep me from my narrow home out yonder, my resting place where I'm bound before spring is over. There it is, not among the Lintons, mind, under the chapel roof, but in the open air with a headstone, and you may please yourself wherever you go, whether you go to them or come to me." "Catherine, what have you done?" commenced my master. "Am I nothing to you any more? Do you love that wretch Heath?" "Hush!" cried Mrs. Linton. "Hush this moment. You mention that name, and I end the matter instantly by a spring from the window. What you touch at present you may have, but my soul will be on top of that hill before you lay hands on me again. I don't want you, Edgar. I'm past wanting you. Return to the books. I'm glad you possess a consolation, for all you had in me is gone." "Her mind wanders, sir," I interposed. "She has been talking nonsense the whole evening, but let her have quiet and proper attendance, and she'll rally. Hereafter we must be cautious how we vex her." Imagine living with this. Gosh, how do you deal with this? Ay, 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 ay. This is so insane. A weighted blanket would help. This is crazy. A doctor wouldn't even know what to do in this case. Let's be honest. A doctor would have no idea what to do. What's his name? Would come in and be like, guys, I don't know. I'm out. This is out of my depth. Yeah, whatever you do with Catherine, you lose. Exactly. Such eggshells. Yeah, Kenneth. Good old Kenneth. I think he'd walk in there and be like, guys, I'm sorry. I have no idea. Yay. I desire no further advice from you, answered Mr. Linton. You knew your mistress's nature, and you encouraged me to harass her, and not to give me one hint how she has been these 3 days. It was heartless. Months of sickness could not cause such a change. I began to defend myself, thinking it too bad to be blamed for another's wicked waywardness. I knew Mrs. Linton's nature to be headstrong and domineering, cried I, but I did not know that you wished to foster her fierce temper. I did not know that, to humor her, I should wink at Mr. Heathcliff. I perform the duty of a faithful servant in telling you, and I have got a faithful servant's wages. Well, it will teach me to be careful next time. Next time you may gather intelligence for yourself. Next time you bring me a tale, you shall quit my service, Ellen Dean, he replied. Come on, guys. Just be on the same team here and realize that she's crazy and there's no helping her. You'd rather hear nothing about it, I suppose, than Mr. Linton, said I. Heathcliff has your permission to come courting to Miss and drop in at every opportunity your absence offers, on purpose to poison the mistress against you. Confused as Catherine was, her wits were alerted at applying our conversation. She hears the name Heathcliff and is like, oh, what? What? Ah, Nellie has played traitor, she exclaimed passionately. Nellie is my hidden enemy, you witch. So you do seek elf bolts to hurt us. Let me go. I'll make her rue. I'll make her howl a recantation. A maniac's fury kindled under her brows. She struggled desperately to disengage herself from Linton's arms. I felt no inclination to tarry the events, and resolving to seek medical aid on my own responsibility, I quitted the chamber. That's great. Well done. In passing the garden to reach the road, at a place where a bridle hook is driven into a wall, I saw something white moved irregularly, evidently by another agent in the wind, than the wind. Notwithstanding my hurry, I stayed to examine it, lest ever after it I should have the conviction impressed on my imagination that it was a creature of the other world. What? All right. Now she's seeing demons too. My surprise and perplexity were great to discover by touch more than vision Miss Isabella Springer, Fanny, suspended to a handkerchief. Oh my gosh. And nearly at its last gasp, I quickly released the animal and lifted it into the garden. I had seen it follow its mistress upstairs when she went to bed and wondered how it could have gotten out there, and what mischievous person had treated it so. Heathcliff? That is... What? This is crazy. Yeah, hurt a dog, you're straight to jail. I don't care anything. This is definitely a love story. Come on. Hanging a dog? Because you really love someone and you got in a fight with them? gosh. This is Heathcliff. Like, this book is a competition to see which character do you hate more. And in every single paragraph, you're like, oh, I hate Heathcliff more. Actually, Kathy, I kind of hate her more. And then Heathcliff outdoes her. And then I'm sure it's like gonna keep going on like this until Kathy ends up dying, because I'm sure Heathcliff is probably gonna kill her or something like that out of a jealous fit of rage. Emily punched her dog in the face. I don't like that. This is crazy. While untying the knot round the hook, it seemed to me that I repeatedly caught the beat of horses' feet galloping at some distance. But there were such a number of things to occupy my reflections that I hardly gave their circumstances a thought, though it was a strange sound in that place at 2 o'clock in the morning. Mr. Kenneth was fortunately just issuing from his house to see a patient in the village as I came up the street, and my account of Catherine Linton's malady induced him to accompany me back immediately. He was a plain, rough man, and he made no scruple to speak his doubts of her surviving this second attack, unless she were more submissive to his directions than she had shown herself before. Nellie Dean, said he, I can't help fancying there's an extra cause for this. What has there been to do at the Grange? We've odd reports up here. A stout, hardy lass like Catherine does not fall ill for a trifle. And that sort of people should not either. It's hard work bringing them through the fevers and such things. How did it begin? The master will inform you, I answered. But you are acquainted with the Earnshaw's violent dispositions. And Mrs. Linton caps them all. I must say this, it commenced in a quarrel. She was struck during a tempest of passion with a kind of fit. That's her account, at least, for she flew off in the height of it and locked herself up afterwards. She refused to eat, and now she alternatively raves and remains in a half-dream, knowing those about her, but having her mind filled with all sorts of strange ideas and illusions. Mr. Linton will be sorry, observed Kenneth interrogatively. Sorry? He'll break his heart should anything happen, I replied. Don't alarm him more than necessary. Well, I told him to be beware, said my companion, and he must bide the consequences of neglecting my warning. Hasn't he been thick with Mr. Heathcliff lately? Kind of like this doctor. I actually don't mind Kenneth right here, talking people off for not like taking his advice. Heathcliff frequently visits the Grange, answered I, though more on the strength of the mistress having known him when he was a boy than because the master likes his company. At present, he's discharged from the trouble of calling, owing to some presumptuous aspirations after Miss Linton, which he manifested. I hardly think he'll be taken in again. And does Miss Linton turn a cold shoulder on him? Was the doctor's next question. I'm not in her confidence, returned I, reluctant to continue the subject. No, she's a sly one, he remarked, shaking his head. She keeps her own counsel, but he's a real little fool. I have it from good authority that last night, and a pretty night it was, she and Heathcliff were walking in the plantation at the back of your house, above 2 hours, and he pressed her not to go in again, but just mount his horse and away with him. My informant said she could only put him off by pledging her word of honor to be prepared on their first meeting after that, when it was to be. But he didn't hear. But you urge Mr. Linton to look sharply. This news filled me with fresh fears. I outstripped Kenneth and ran most of the way back. The little dog was yelping in the garden yet. I spared a minute to open the gate for it, but instead of going to the house door, I coursed up and down, snuffing the grass, and would have escaped to the road had I not seized and conveyed it in with me. On ascending to Isabella's room, my suspicions... Oh, interesting. Hold on. What does the dog smell? Miss Linton. Okay, yeah. and would have escaped the road had I not seized and conveyed it in with me. Like, the dog's not going after revenge for Heathcliff. This is the same Springer, I'm guessing. Maybe they have a bunch of different dogs. I mean, quick dog's story. But it's different. So with Wes, he's interested in all sorts of smells. But there's two specific smells that he gets more interested in than anything else, that I know he has this behavior where he's hard to contain. He gets interested whenever he smells a female in heat. And I know if we are on a walk, there is 2 dogs in my neighborhood that we go on walks in this little park. And I know if one of the dogs is in that park at the time. And it's like a 3-mile long park. It's just like a long stretch. And I know for sure when one of those dogs is in the park and when they're in heat, because Wes is so excited. And the other thing that he smells is a coyote or a fox. He knows exactly the smell. So if we're in the woods, deep in the woods, I will know exactly when he comes on a coyote or a fox or a bear. We've come across a bear a few times, and he knows that smell, and he stops and makes sure like his behavior totally changes. And this kind of seems like it. Like this dog is trying to smell something. It becomes clear in a bit. Okay. Brimstone, probably. Interesting. Okay. On ascending to Isabella's room, my suspicions were confirmed. It was empty. Had I a few hours sooner... Oh, Isabella probably escaped and the dog's looking for her. Okay, interesting. Had I been a few hours sooner, Mrs. Linton's illness might have arrested her rash step. But what could be done now? There was a bare possibility of overtaking them if pursued instantly. I could not pursue them, however, and I dare not rouse the family and fill the place with confusion. Still less unfold the business to my master, absorbed as he was in the present calamity, and having no heart to spare for a second grief. I saw nothing for it, but to hold my tongue and suffer matters to take their course, and Kenneth being arrived, I went with a badly composed countenance to announce him. Catherine lay in a troubled sleep. Her husband had succeeded in soothing the access of frenzy. He now hung over her pillow, watching every shade and every change of her painfully expressive features. The doctor, on examining the case for himself, spoke hopefully to him of having a favorable termination. Of its having a favorable termination. Okay. For a second there, having a favorable termination, I'm like, are they thinking about killing Kathy? But having the fit have a termination. Interesting. Did Isabella stifle her own dog to mask her getaway? Honestly, interesting idea. This doesn't strike me as a King Charles Spaniel. It's like a Springer Spaniel or like a Brittany Spaniel, probably. Like, I don't know if they have a King Charles Spaniel. And even back then, I'm sure a King Charles Spaniel was probably a little bit more of a work dog. All those dogs were work dogs. Nellie is making way too many decisions here. Yeah, and I'm totally with you too. Like, Nellie's decision making here is probably what I would do, because you have no agency in the situation. She's in an impossible situation. Everyone's miserable and awful in this book. So what else can she do? She called it a Springer. Yeah, exactly. So it's a Springer Spaniel, which those dogs are. There's 2 Springer Spaniels that I walk by, and they are hunters. Those dogs, they're great. I love those dogs. Yeah, I don't think Isabella would have the ability to do that. She doesn't seem like. The only thing that if she was so mentally insane. Oh, your Springer Cross is asleep beside you. I love that. That makes me happy. I love a good dog. Wes is asleep under the bed over there. The only thing that she would do this for is if she was in such a fit of lust that she would run out and do this. But I still don't think that would actually happen with her. All right, everyone, like the stream. Let's keep reading. We got to get through this. There's 2 more chapters after this, guys. Oy, oy, oy. We still have 20 pages. Where are we? If we could only preserve around her perfect and constant tranquility. To me, he signified the threatening danger was not so much death as permanent alienation of intellect. What do you mean by that? Let's talk about what you guys mean, what you think that means. To me, he signified the threatening danger was not so much death as permanent alienation of intellect. Like, does that mean her mind would be loosed? Like she would completely go crazy? Yeah, I think that's going crazy, right? I did not close my eyes that night, nor did Mr. Linton indeed. We never went to bed. And the servants were all up long before the usual hour, moving through the house with stealthy tread and exchanging whispers as they encountered each other in their vocations. Everyone was active but Miss Isabella, and they began to remark how sound she slept. Her brother, too, asked if she had risen, and seemed impatient for her presence, and hurt that she showed so little anxiety for her sister-in-law. I trembled lest he should send me to call her, but I was spared the pain of being the first proclaimant of her flight. One of the maids, a thoughtless girl who had been on an early errand to Gimmerton, came panting upstairs, open-mouthed, and dashed into the chamber, crying, "Oh dear, dear, what mun we have next? Master, our young lady." "Hold your noise," cried I hastily, enraged at her clamorous manner. "Speak lower, Mary. What is the matter?" said Mr. Linton. "What ails your young lady?" She's gone. Yon Heathcliff's run off with her," gasped the girl. "That is not true," exclaimed Linton, rising in agitation. "It cannot be. How has the idea entered your head? Ellen Dean, go and seek her. It is incredible. It cannot be." As he spoke, he took the servant to the door and then repeated his demand to know the reason for such an assertion. "Why, I met on the road a lad that fetches milk here," she stammered. "He asked whether we weren't in trouble at the Grange. I thought he meant for Mrs. Sickness, so I answered, yes. And he says, they's somebody gone after him, I guess." I stared. He saw I knew not about, and he told how a gentleman and a lady had stopped to have a horse's shoe fastened at a blacksmith's shop 2 miles out of Gimmerton, not very long after midnight, and how the blacksmith's lass had got up to spy who they were. She knew them both directly, and she noticed the man. Heathcliff it was, she felt certain. Nobody could mistake him. Besides, put a sovereign in her father's hand for payment. The lady had a cloak about her face, but having desired a sup of water while she drank it, it fell back, and she saw her very plain. Heathcliff had both bridles as they rode on, and they set their faces from the village, and went as fast on the rough roads as the rough roads would let them. The lass said nothing to her father, but she told it all over Gimmerton this morning. I ran, peeped for form's sake, into Isabella's room, confirming when I returned the servant's statement. Mr. Linton had resumed his seat by the bed. On my re-entrance, he raised his eyes, read the meaning of my blank aspect, and dropped them without giving an order or uttering a word. Are we to try any measures for overtaking and bringing her back?" I inquired. "How should we do?" "She went of her own accord," answered the master. "She had a right to go if she pleased. Trouble me no more about her. Hereafter she is only my sister in name, not because I disown her, but because she has disowned me." Interesting. Okay. And that was all he said on the subject. It did not make a single enquiry farther, or mention her in any way, except directing me to send what property she had in the house to her fresh home, wherever it was, when I knew it. Yeah, Mr. Linton needs to get some. He needs to drink or do something. I would never recommend a person do that, to drown their sorrows. But this guy's got to drown his sorrows in some way. This is just brutal. we are definitely not going to hit our goal today of having anybody who's rational or good characters in this novel. Chapter 13. Let's get through this. We have 2 more chapters to go, guys. 20 more pages. I really can only take this in doses, and I have had way too much. But I want to get through the first part of this book. Yeah, this is super romantic. Let's hang a dog and then run off together. Not really because we love each other, but let's do this. Let's hang a dog because my real lover, we got in a bad fight and she's married to someone else and she doesn't love me. So I'm going to get back at her in some way. So I'm going to hang her sister-in-law's dog and then run off with her sister-in-law, even though I hate her and don't think she's worth it. Super romantic. This is absurd. Chapter 13. For 2 months, the fugitives remained absent. In those 2 months, Mrs. Linton encountered and conquered the worst shock of what was denominated a brain fever. What was a brain fever back then? What would that be? What is the equivalent to a brain fever? No mother could have nursed an only child more devotedly than Edgar tended her. Ay, ay, ay. His little saving people problem is so messed up. Encephalitis. Interesting. Meningitis, encephalitis. Okay, interesting. Jasper, I agree with you, but at the same time, I don't necessarily agree that much. Like, Springers are a bit yappy. But I think there was a point in it where the Springer would probably come and find them. And so he was trying to get rid of that idea so that the Springer doesn't find them. But the location of where he hung the Springer seems more vindictive than it is, let me just shut this dog up. If he wanted to shut the dog up, he would wring its neck. Like, hanging a dog is way too involved. Like, you could just kill a dog. It's sad, but he could definitely do that. Yeah, the dog was Isabella's, I think. I think that's the same Springer. Like, he could definitely just take it and break its neck and kill this dog. Yeah, he could have taken it with him, but I don't think he really wanted to, but he could have. But you think it was Isabella who did it. That's an interesting take. Honestly, it's a valid interpretation because I think that she could be in such a fit of love for this guy. But is Isabella capable of doing something like that, trying to hang the dog? Maybe she'd be more capable of hanging it than actually killing it with her bare hands. He doesn't seem to have anything against dogs in particular. That's true, but he also is insane. The scarf was a collar. That's actually another good point, too. Honestly, it's a valid point. The scarf likely was a collar. So he just hangs it up on some branch or tree. Heathcliff is irresistible. Ugh. These people are insane, guys. This is so dysfunctional. Gosh. And then Edgar, like, being so devoted to her. And day and night he was watching and patiently enduring all the annoyances that irritable nerves and a shaken reason could inflict. And though Kenneth remarked that he was saved from the grave, that what he saved from the grave would only recompense his care by forming the source of constant future anxiety, in fact, that his health and strength were being sacrificed to preserve a mere ruin of humanity. I love that. I love that. Like, it's good advice from a doctor. The doctor's like, dude, it's harsh, but it's so true. He's like, this is terrible for me to say, but he's like, it would have been better for this person to die. And I was so astounded by that in other like lines in the novel. Like, it would have been better for someone to die than to do this. Like, I was shocked that when that line was in Pride and Prejudice, when Collins was saying that, because it was coming from Collins' mouth. Doctor saying this, it would be better for her to die because now you're going to be screwed over for the rest of your life. Preserve a mere ruin of humanity. He knew no limits in gratitude and joy when Catherine's life was declared out of danger And hour after hour he would sit beside her, tracing the gradual return to bodily health and flattering his too sanguine hopes with the illusion that her mind would settle back to its right balance also, and he would soon be entirely her former self. What a moron. The first time she left her chamber was at the commencement of the following March. Mr. Linton had put on her pillow in the morning a handful of golden crocuses. I'm guessing they're flowers. In a sad echo of the scene, Elizabeth Gaskell describes an incident close to Emily's death. I remember Miss Bronte shivered at recalling the pang she felt when, after having searched the little hollow and sheltered crevices of the moors for a lingering spray of heather, just one spray, however, withered, to take in to Emily, she saw that the flower was not recognized by the dim and indifferent eyes. Her eye, long stranger to any gleam of pleasure, caught them waking and shone delighted as she gathered them eagerly together. These are the earliest flowers at the heights, she exclaimed. They remind me of soft thaw winds and warm sunshine and nearly melted snow. Edgar, there is not a south wind. Is there not a south wind? And is not the snow almost gone? The snow is quite gone down here, darling, replied her husband, and I only see 2 white spots in the whole range of the moors. The sky is blue and the larks are singing, and the becks and brooks are all brim full. Catherine, last spring at this time I was longing to have you under this roof. Now I wish you were a mile or 2 up those hills. The air blows so sweetly. I feel that it would cure you. I shall never be there but once more, said the invalid. And then you'll leave me, and I shall remain forever. Next spring you'll long again to have me under this roof, and you'll look back and think you were happy today. Linton lavished on her kindest caresses and tried to cheer her up by the fondest words, but vaguely regarding the flowers, she let the tears collect on her lashes and stream down her cheeks unheeding. We knew she was really better, and therefore decided that long confinement to a single place produced much of this despondency, and might be partially removed by a change of scene. The master told me to light a fire in the many weeks deserted parlor, and to set an easy chair in the sunshine by the window. And then he brought her down and sat a long while enjoying the genial heat, and, as we expected, revived by the objects around her, which, though familiar, were free from the dreary associations investing her hated sick chamber. By evening, she seemed greatly exhausted, yet no argument could persuade her to return to that apartment, and I had to arrange the parlor sofa for her bed till another room could be prepared. To obviate the fatigue of mounting and descending the stairs, we fitted up this, where you lie at present on the same floor with the parlor, and she was soon strong enough to move from one to the other, leaning on Edgar's arm. So weird. And I thought myself she might recover, so waited on as I was. Real quick question. Yeah, crocuses are the first flower of spring. I do like crocuses because it is a reminder of spring. Do patients who are suffering from like whatever she is suffering from, whatever she has, do patients who suffer from that, are they often physically ailed too in this way, or is this like a call for help? Is this like her faking this? I think she actually would fake this, but is this her mind overpowering her body? And psych symptoms can be somatically expressed. Interesting. Okay. That's exactly what I was looking for. It's crazy. Like your mind could be telling you something and then it just happens, right? Stupidity. That's the word I was looking for. I should mention that Isabella sent to her brother some 6 weeks from her departure a short note announcing her marriage with Heathcliff. Come on. It appeared dry and cold, but at the bottom was dotted in with pencil an obscure apology, and then a treaty for the kind remembrance and reconciliation, if her proceedings had offended him. and asserting that she could not help it then. And being done, she had now no power to repeal it. Linton did not reply to this, I believe, and in a fortnight more I got a long letter which I considered odd coming from the pen of a bride just out of the honeymoon. I'll read it, for I keep it yet. Any relic of the dead is precious, if they were valued living. Dear Ellen, it begins. I came last night to Wuthering Heights and heard for the first time that Catherine has been and yet is very ill. I must not write to her, I suppose, and my brother is either too angry or too distressed to answer what I send him. Still, I must write to somebody, and the only choice left me is you. Inform Edgar that I give the world to see his face again, that my heart returned to Thrushgrass Grange in 24 hours after I left it, and is there at this moment, full of warm feelings for him and Catherine. I can't follow it, though. Those words are underlined. They need not expect me, and they may draw what conclusions they please, taking care, however, to lay nothing at the door of my weak will or deficient affection. The remainder of the letter is for yourself alone. I want to ask you 2 questions. The first is, how did you contrive to preserve the common sympathies of human nature when you resided here? This is so tragically sad. I shouldn't be laughing at this, but this is so ridiculous. How did you contrive to preserve the common sympathies of human nature when you resided here? I cannot recognize any sentiment which those around share with me. This is absurd. This is the most absurd thing I've ever read. Yeah, what's up, Kendrick? I'm almost at the same point. This is just insane. The second question I have great interest in is this. Is Mr. Heathcliff a man? If so, is he mad? And if not, is he a devil? There you go again. He's a demon. They're all demon possessed. I shan't tell my reasons for making this inquiry. Oh, please do tell your reasons for that. I mean, we probably know them, but please. But I beseech you to explain, if you can, what I have married. That is, when you call to see me, and you must call, Ellen, very soon, don't write but come and bring me something from Edgar. Now you shall hear how I have been received into my new home, as I am led to imagine the Heights will be. It is to amuse myself that I dwell on such subjects as the lack of external comforts. They never occupy my thoughts, except at the moment when I miss them. I should laugh and dance for joy if I found their absence was the total of my miseries, and the rest was an unnatural dream. I drink every time someone says devil, for sure. The sun set behind the Grange as we turn onto the moors. Ay, ay, ay. By that I judged it to be 6 o'clock, and my companion halted half an hour to inspect the park and the gardens and probably the place itself as well as he could. So it was dark when we dismounted in the paved yard in the farmhouse, and your old servant Joseph issued out to receive us by the light of a dip candle. He did it with a courtesy that resounded to his credit, or redounded to his credit. His first act was to elevate his torch to a level with my face, squint malignantly, project his under lip, and turn away. Then he took the 2 horses and led them to the stables, reappearing for the purpose of locking the outer gate, as if we lived in an ancient castle. Heathcliff stayed to speak to him, and I entered the kitchen and a dingy, untidy hole. I dare say you would not know it. It is so changed since it was in your charge. By the fire stood a ruffianly child, strong in limb and dirty in garb, with a look of Catherine in his eyes and about his mouth. This is Edgar's legal nephew. I reflected, mine in a manner. I must shake hands, and yes, I must kiss him. It is right to establish a good understanding at the beginning. I approached, and attempting to take his chubby fit, said, "How do you do, my dear?" He replied in a jargon I did not comprehend, because he's hanging out with Joseph. "Shall you and I be friends, Hareton?" was my next essay at conversation. An oath and threat and a threat to set throttler on me if I did not frame off rewarded my perseverance. "Hey, throttler lad," whispered the little wretch, rousing a half-bred bulldog from its lair in a corner. "Now wilt thou be gangin'?" he asked authoritatively. Love for my life urged a compliance. I stepped over the threshold to wait till the others should enter. Mr. Heathcliff was nowhere visible, and Joseph, whom I followed to the stables and requested to accompany me in, after staring and muttering to himself, screwed up his nose and replied, "Mim, mim, mim." Oh, we have more Joseph lines. Where is that? I gotta find that. Wuthering Heights. Joseph. Understanding Joseph's speech. There we go. What are we in? Chapter 13. No, chapter 12. Don't tell me it doesn't give me what these lines are. No, we're in chapter 13. Sorry. "Good Lord," he muttered, sitting down. Wait, no, that's not it. Doesn't have the translation for this. Yeah, this line isn't given. Okay, he says mim mim mim, which means prim. "Did ever Christian body hear out like it? Minching unminching. Mincing and affected. Ha can all tell what ye say." "I say, wish you'd come with me into the house," I cried, thinking him deaf, yet highly disgusted at his rudeness. We don't get any of these lines translated. I guess this is a letter, so we don't really get it translated, which is a little upsetting. This is a long letter. Gosh, you wrote a long letter. Yeah, Charlotte. We have Charlotte to thank that this is kind of translatable. He says another thing. "I walked around the yard and through the wicket to another door, at which I took the liberty of knocking, in hopes some more civil servant might show himself afterward, or might show me himself. After a short suspense, it was opened by a tall, gaunt man without neckerchief, and otherwise extremely slovenly. His features were lost in masses of shaggy hair that hung on his shoulders, and his eyes, too, were like a ghostly Catherine's, with all their beauty annihilated." Okay, so Heinley? "What is your business here?" he demanded grimly. "Who are you?" "My name was Isabella Linton," I replied. "You've seen me before, sir. I am married to Mr. Heathcliff, and he has brought me here, I suppose, by your permission." "Is he then come back, then?" he asked the hermit, glaring like a hungry wolf. "Yes, we came back came back just now," I said, "but he has left me by the kitchen door. And when I would have gone in, your little boy played sentinel over the place. It frightened me off by the help of a bulldog." It's well the hellish villain has kept his word," growling my future host, searching the darkness beyond me in expectation of discovering Heathcliff. And then he indulged in a soliloquy of execrations and threats of what he would have done had the fiend deceived him. I repented having tried his second entrance and was almost inclined to slip away before he finished cursing. But ere I could execute that intention, he ordered me in and shut and refastened the door. There was a great fire, and that was all the light in the huge apartment, whose floor had grown a uniformly gray, and the once brilliant pewter dishes which used to attract my gaze when I was a girl partook of similar obscurity, created by tarnish and dust. I inquired whether I might call the maid and be conducted to a bedroom. Mr. Earnshaw vouchsafed no answer. He walked up and down with his hands in his pockets, apparently quite forgetting my presence, and his abstractions was evidently so deep and his whole aspect so misanthropical that I shrank from disturbing him again. You'll not be surprised, Ellen, at my feeling particularly cheerless. Seated in worse than solitude, on that inhospitable hearth, and remembering that 4 miles distant lay my delightful home containing the only people I loved on earth, and there might as well be the Atlantic to part us. Instead of those 4 miles, I could not overpass them. I questioned with myself where must I turn for comfort. And mind you, don't tell Edgar or Catherine above every sorrow beside. This rose preeminent. Despair at finding nobody who would or could be my ally against Heathcliff. I had sought shelter at Wuthering Heights almost gladly because I was secured by that arrangement from living alone with him. But he knew the people we were coming amongst, and he did not fear their intermeddling. I sat and thought a doleful time. The clock struck 8 and 9, and still my companion paced to and fro, his head bent on his breast and perfectly silent unless a groan or a bitter ejaculation forced itself out at intervals. I listened to detect a woman's voice in the house, and filled the interim with wild regrets and dismal anticipations, which at last spoke audibly in irrepressible sighing and weeping. I was not aware how openly I grieved, till Earnshaw halted opposite in his measured walk, and gave me a stare of newly awakened surprise. Taking advantage of his recovered attention, I exclaimed, "I'm tired with my journey, and I want to go to bed. Where is maidservant? Direct me to her, as she won't come to me." "We have none," he answered. "You must wait on yourself." "Where must I sleep, then?" I sobbed. I was beyond regarding self-respect, weighed down by fatigue and wretchedness. "Joseph will show you to Heathcliff's chamber," said he. "Open that door. He's in there." I was going to obey, but he suddenly arrested me and added in the strangest tone, "Be so good as to turn your lock and draw your bolt. Don't omit it." "Well," I said. "But why, Mr. Earnshaw?" I did not relish the notion of deliberately fastening myself in with Heathcliff. "Look here," he replied, pulling from his waistcoat a curiously constructed pistol, having a double-edged spring knife attached to the barrel. "That's a great tempter to a desperate man, is it not? I cannot resist going up with this every night and trying his door. If once I find it open, he's done for. I do it invariably, even though the minute before I have been recalling 100 reasons that it should make me refrain. It is some devil that urges me to thwart my own schemes by killing him. You fight against that devil for love as long you may. When the time comes, not all the angels in heaven shall save him." Now, okay, another. Oh my gosh. I just keep. This is. Okay. Another quick thought about this. It's interesting, the idea of like how these people are, and obviously they're not spiritual people, but there's the funny element of how they treat these things spiritually when they're really just insane people. Like, I keep going back to this demon possession idea, and I actually legitimately think that could be a thing. Like, some kind of exorcism needs to be put on these people, or like performed on these people. But really, they're just insane. And for them to be talking about these demons and angels, like, it's just spiritual bypassing things. They're spiritually bypassing the actual real issues of this, which are they're all just vengeful and terrible people, and they keep putting it on the devil, but really it's them. They're all the devil. Oy, guys, this is it's brutal. Hell is other people. Struggle like a true introvert. This is crazy. This is just crazy, guys. These people are out of their minds. I don't know what to do anymore. Let's finish this chapter. We have a chapter and a half left. I surveyed the weapon inquisitively. A hideous notion struck me, how powerful I should be possessing such an instrument. I took it from his hand and touched the blade. He looked astonished at the expression my face assumed during a brief second. It was not horror, it was covetousness. He snatched the pistol back jealously, shut the knife, and returned it to its concealment. This is just so bad. No, I do eat lunch. Yeah, I do need a good lunch after this. It's 1:15 right now at my time. I don't care if you tell him, said he. Put him on his guard and watch for him. You know the terms we are on, I see. His danger does not shock you. What has Heathcliff done to you, I asked. In what has he wronged you to warrant this appalling hatred? Wouldn't it be wiser to bid him quit the house? No, thundered Earnshaw. Should he offer to leave me, he's a dead man. Persuade him to attempt it, and you are a murderess. Am I to lose all without a chance of retrieval? Is Hareton to be a beggar? Oh, damnation. I will have it back. And I'll have his gold, too. And then his blood. And hell shall have his soul. And it will be 10 times blacker with that guest than ever it was before. You have acquainted me, Ellen, with your old master's habits. He is clearly on the verge of madness. He was so last night, at least. I shuddered to be near him, and thought on the servant's ill-bred moroseness as comparatively agreeable. He now recommenced his moody walk, and I raised that latch and escaped into the kitchen. Joseph was bending over the fire, peering into a large pan that swung above it, and a wooden bowl of oatmeal stood on the settle close by. The contents of the pan began to boil, and he turned to plunge his hand into the bowl. I conjectured that this preparation was probably for our supper, and being hungry, I resolved that it should be eatable. So, crying out sharply, I'll make the porridge, I removed the vessel out of his reach and proceeded to take off my hat and riding habit. Mr. Earnshaw, I continued, directs me to wait on myself. I will. I'm not going to act the lady among you, for fear I should starve. Good Lord, he muttered, sitting down and stroking his ribbed stockings from the knees to the ankle. All right, we need a translator for this. If there's to be fresh orders, just when I was getting used to the two masters, if I'm going to have a mistress set over my head, it's time to be going. I don't think I would see the day when I would see the day when I would have to leave the old place, but I suspect it's not far off. The lamentation drew no notice from me. I went briskly to work, sighing to remember a period when it would have been all merry fun, but compelled speedily to drive off the remembrance. It racked me up to recall past happiness, and the greater peril there was of conjuring up its apparition. The quicker the thimble ran round, the faster the handfuls of meal fell into the water. Thimble is a wooden stirring stick. Joseph beheld my style of cookery with growing indignation. There, he ejaculated. Hareton, you won't be drinking your porridge tonight. There will be nothing but lumps as big as my fist. There again, I'd throw in the bowl and all if I were you. There, skim the milk off, and then you'll be done with it. Bang, bang. It's a surprise the bottom hasn't been knocked out. Joseph's miserable too. Gosh. It was rather a rough mess, I own. When I poured it into the basin, four had been provided, and a gallon pitcher of new milk was brought from the dairy, which Hareton seized and commenced drinking and spilling from the expansive lip. I expostulated and desired that he should have his in a mug, affirming that I could not taste the liquid treated so dirtily. The old cynic chose to be vastly offended at this nicety, assuring me repeatedly that the barn was every bit as good, and there's no translation on this one. He says something here. Then I shall go upstairs, I answered. Show me a chamber. I put my basin on a tray and went myself to fetch some more milk. With great grumblings, the fellow rose and preceded me in my ascent. We mounted to the garrets, he opening a door now and then, and to look into the apartments we passed. This is a crazy letter. Like, this whole thing is just one big letter. Like, what is she going into this stuff for? And she's explaining, like, what he's saying, too, which is weird. He says, why don't we get translations of some of this stuff? He's a Ram, he said at last, flinging back a cranky board on its hinges. It's wheel enough to ate a few porridge in. They's a packy corner in their meaderly clan. I can't read this stuff, guys. The ram was a kind of lumber hole smelling strong of malt and grain, various sacks of which articles were piled around, leaving a wide, bare space in the middle. Why, man, I exclaimed, facing him angrily. This is not a place to sleep in. I wish to see my bedroom. Bedroom, he repeated in a tone of mockery. Y'all see all the bedrooms there is. Yon's mine. He pointed into the second garret, only differing from the first being more naked about the walls and having a large, low, curtainless bed with an indigo-covered quilt at one end. What do I want with yours? I retorted. I suppose Mr. Heathcliff does not lodge at the top of the house, does he? Oh no, it's Maester Heathcliff you're wantin'. Cried he, as if making a new discovery. Couldn't you be said so at onset? At onst? Gosh, Joseph, come on, dude. Just speak normally. I can't read it in a Scottish accent. I can't do a Scottish accent. A Scottish accent? You have a nice house, Joseph. I could not refrain from observing, and pleasant inmates. And I think the concentrated essence of all the madness in the world took up its abode in my brain the day I linked with my fate with theirs. However, that is not to present purpose. There are other rooms, for heaven's sake. Be quick and let me settle somewhere. He made no reply to this adjuration, only plodded doggedly down the wooden steps, and halting before an apartment which, from that halt and the superior quality of its furniture, I conjecture to be the best one. There was a carpet, a good one, but the pattern was obliterated by dust. A fireplace hung with cut paper droppings to pieces. A handsome oak bedstead with ample crimson curtains of rather expensive material and modern make, but they had evidently experienced a rough usage. The valances hung in festoons, wrenched from their rings, and the iron rod supporting them was bent in an arc on one side, causing the drapery to trail upon the floor. The chairs were also damaged, many of them severely, and deep indentations deformed the panels of the walls. I was endeavoring to gather resolution for entering and taking possession, when my fool of a guide announced, "This here is the maester's." My supper by this time was cold, my appetite gone, and my patience exhausted. I insisted on being provided instantly with a place of refuge and means of repose. Where the devil, began the religious elder. The Lord bless us, the Lord forgive us. Where the hell would ye gang? Ye marred. Wearisome not. You seen all Bud Harrington's bit of chamber. They nut another hole to lig down in. The heis. I was so vexed. Me too. I flung my tray and its contents on the ground and then seated myself at the stairhead, hid my face in my hands, and cried, "We're all her. Yes, all of us are sitting there crying in our hands because this is brutal." It's a contrivance. Oh, interesting. It's interesting. So this really isn't a letter. This is her just writing this herself. It's a contrivance at a letter. So what is this? Is this a letter or no? This is a letter, but it's not really a good letter. This is a crazy letter. A contrivance on part of the other. Okay. It's a letter within the book. Yeah. Yeah. Letter plot device for sure. Because the first part of it felt like a letter. This part does not feel like a letter. So she just has to go there and kind of explain what's happening. I was so vexed, yada, yada, yada. Eck. He says, well done, Miss Kathy. Well done, Miss Kathy. However, so the master will just tumble over them broken pots, and then we'll hear something. We'll hear how it's going to be. Good for nothing, fool. You deserve starving from now to Christmas for throwing the precious gifts of God underfoot with your frightening rages. But I'll be mistaken if you show that spirit long. Will Heathcliff allow such fancy ways, do you think? I just wish he'd catch you in that temper. I just wish he would. Joseph is so miserable. And so he went scolding into his den beneath, taking the candle with him, and I remained in the dark. The period of reflection succeeding his silly action compelled me to admit the necessity of smothering my pride and choking my wrath and bestirring myself to remove its effects. An unexpected aid presently appeared to the shape of a throttler, whom I now recognized as a son of our old skulker. It had spent his whelphood at the Grange, and was given by my father to Mr. Hindley. I fancy it knew me. It pushed its nose against mine by way of salute, and then hastened to devour the porridge, while I groped from step to step, collecting the shattered earthenware, and drying the spatters of milk from the banister with my pocket handkerchief. Our labors were scarcely over when I heard Earnshaw tread in the passage. My assistant tucked his tail, and pressed to the walls. I stole into the nearest doorway. The dog's endeavor to avoid him was unsuccessful, and I guessed by a scutter downstairs and a prolonged piteous yelping I had better luck. He passed on, entering his chamber, and shut the door. Directly after Joseph came up with Hareton to put him to bed, I found the shelter in Hareton's room. The old man, on seeing me, said, "There is room for both you and your pride now, I should think, in the house. It's empty. You may have it all to yourself, and him who always makes a third in such bad company, being the devil." Gosh. Gladly did I take advantage of this intimation, and the minute I flung myself into the chair by the fire, I nodded and slept. My slumber was deep and sweet, though over far too soon. Mr. Heathcliff awoke me. He had just come in and demanded in his loving manner what I was doing there. I told him the cause of my staying up so late, that he had the key of our room in his pocket. The adjective "our grave mortal offense." He swore it was not, nor ever should be mine, and but I'll not repeat his language, nor describe the habitual conduct. He is ingenious and unresting in seeking to gain my abhorrence. I sometimes wonder at him with an intensity that deadens my fear. Yet I assure you, a tiger or a venomous serpent could not rouse terror in me equal to that which he awakens. He told me of Catherine's illness and accused my brother of causing it, promising that I should be Edgar's proxy in suffering. Come on. Till he can get a hold of him. Like, it's you're a psycho if you do this in the first place. You're a double psycho if you do this and you tell someone that you're doing this. I do hate him. I am wretched. I have been a fool. Beware of uttering one's breath to anyone at the Grange. I shall expect you every day. Don't disappoint me. All right, guys, we got one more chapter. 9 more pages. Oh, God. Hold on. We can make it through, guys. This is so brutal. Ay, ay, ay. All right, we can do this, guys. Heathcliff is awful. Again, it just goes back and forth. Which one you hate more? It's like Heathcliff or Kathy. Which one is worse? And they're all just so terrible to other people. Chapter 14. Ay. You really have to take this book in doses, because this is just brutal. As soon as I had perused this epistle, I went to the master, and informed him that his sister had arrived at the Heights, and sent me a letter expressing her sorrow for Mr. Linton's situation, and her ardent desire to see him. What? With a wish that he would transmit to her, as early as possible, some token of forgiveness by me. Wait, so she tells Mr. Linton immediately. Forgiveness, said Linton. I have nothing to forgive her, Ellen. You may call at Wuthering Heights this afternoon if you like, and say I am not angry, but I am sorry to have lost her, especially as I can never think she'll be happy. It is out of the question my going to see her, however. We are eternally divided, and should she really wish to oblige me, let her persuade the villain that she has married to leave the country. And you won't write her a little note, sir? I asked imploringly. No, he answered. It is needless. My communication with Heathcliff's family shall be as sparing as his with mine. It shall not exist. Mr. Edgar's coldness depressed me exceedingly, and all the way from the Grange I puzzled my brains how to put more heart into what he said when I repeated it, and how to soften his refusal of even a few lines to console Isabella. I dare say that she has been on the watch for me since morning. I saw her looking through the lattice as I came up the garden causeway, and I nodded to her, but she drew back, as if afraid of being observed. I entered without knocking. There was never such a dreary, dismal scene as the formerly cheerful house presented. I must confess that, if I had been in the young lady's place, I would, at least, have swept the hearth, and wiped the tables with a duster, but she had already partook of the pervading spirit of neglect which encompassed her. Her pretty face was wan and listless, her hair uncurled, some locks hanging lankily down, and some carelessly twisted round her head. Probably she had not touched her dress since yester evening. Hindley was not there. Mr. Heathcliff sat at the table, turning over some papers in his pocketbook, but he rose when I appeared, asked me how I did, quite friendly, and offered me a chair. He was the only thing there that seemed decent, and I thought he never looked better. Like, this is sick because this is, he looks phenomenal when he is at his worst. Like, when he is, this is literally like him. He is being terrible and awful and like manipulative, and he's enjoying it. It's like, it's showing on his face that he's enjoying the revenge that he's getting. Great way to put it. What a psychopath. So much had circumstances altered their positions that he would certainly have struck a stranger, a born and bred gentleman, and his wife as a thorough little slattern. She came forward eagerly to greet me and held out one hand to take the expected letter. I shook my head. She wouldn't understand the hint, but followed me to a sideboard, where I went to lay my bonnet, and importuned me in a whisper to give her directly what I had brought. Heathcliff guessed the meaning of her maneuvers, and said, "If you have got anything for Isabella, as no doubt you have, Nelly, give it to her. You needn't make a secret of it. We have no secrets between us." "Oh, I have nothing," I replied, thinking it best to speak the truth at once. "My master bid me to tell his sister that she must not expect either a letter or a visit from him at present. He sends his love, ma'am, and his wishes for your happiness, and his pardon for the grief that you have occasioned, but he thinks that after this time this household and the household here should drop intercommunication, as nothing good could come of keeping it up." Mrs. Heathcliff's lip quivered slightly, and she returned to her seat in the window. Her husband took his stand on the hearthstone near me and began to put questions concerning Catherine. I told him as much as I thought proper of her illness, and he extorted from me by cross-examination most of the facts connected with its origin. I blamed her as she deserved for bringing it all on herself, and ended by hoping that he would follow Mr. Linton's example and avoid future interference with his family for good or evil. Mrs. Linton is now just recovering, I said. She'll never be like she was, but her life is spared, and if you really have a regard for her, you'll shun crossing her way again. Now, this is interesting because she's saying it as it is, but he doesn't have a regard for her. That's why this is not a love story, because he's going to get involved in her life again in some strange way and going to make it miserable again. Like, this is the point. If Heathcliff actually loves her, he will back away forever and never see her again. But he doesn't, because this isn't a love story. How could you read this and think this is a love story? Has she lost her mind? This is crazy. Nay, you'll move out of this country entirely, and that you may not regret it. I'll inform you, Catherine Linton is as different now from your old friend Catherine Earnshaw as that young lady is different from me. Her appearance has changed greatly. Her character much more so, and the person who is compelled of necessity to be her companion will only sustain his affection hereafter by the remembrance of what she once was, by common humanity and a sense of duty. What a great paragraph. Delusion. That is quite possible, remarked Heathcliff, forcing himself to seem calm. Quite possible that your master should have nothing but common humanity and a sense of duty to fall back upon. But do you imagine that I shall leave Catherine to his duty and humanity? And can you compare my feelings respecting Catherine to his? Before you leave this house, I must expect a promise from you that you'll get me an interview with her. Consent or refuse, I will see her. What do you say? I say, Mr. Heathcliff, I replied, you must not. You never shall through my means. Another encounter between you and the master would kill her altogether. With your aid that may be avoided, he continued, and there should be danger of such an event. Should he be the cause of adding a single trouble more to her existence, why I think I shall be justified in going to extremes. I wish you had sincerity enough to tell me whether Catherine would suffer greatly from her loss, or from his loss. The fear that she would restrains me. And there you see the distinction between our feelings. Had he been in my place and I in his, though I hated him with a hatred that turned my life to gall, I never would have raised a hand against him. Liar! You may look incredulous as you please. I would never have banished him from her society, as long as she desired his. The moment his regards ceased, I would have torn his heart out and drank his blood. He's a demon! He's a vampire demon! But then, if you don't believe me, you don't know me. Till then, I would have died by inches before it touched a single hair of his head. And yet, I interrupted, you have no scruples in completely ruining all hopes of her perfect restoration by thrusting yourself into her remembrance now, when she has nearly forgotten you and involved her in a new tumult of discord and distress. You suppose she has nearly forgotten me, he said. Oh, Nelly. You know she is not. You know as well as I do that for every thought she spends on Linton, she spends 1,000 on me. At a most miserable period of my life, I had notion of the kind. It haunted me on my return to the neighborhoods last summer, but only her assurance could make me admit the horrible idea again. And then, Linton would be nothing, nor Hindley, nor all the dreams that ever I dreamt. 2 words would comprehend my future. Death and hell. Existence after losing her would be hell. Oh my gosh. These people are so screwed up. What the heck are we talking about? Ay, ay, ay. Yet I was a fool to fancy for a moment that she valued Edgar Linton's attachment more than mine. If he loved with all the powers of his puny being he couldn't love as much in 80 years as I could in a day. What a psychopath. And Catherine has a heart as deep as I have. The sea could be readily contained in that horse trough, as her whole affection could be monopolized by him. Tush. He is scarcely a degree dearer to her than her dog or her horse. It is not in him to be loved like me. How can she love in him what he is not? Catherine and Edgar are fond of each other as any of two people can be, cried Isabella with a sudden vivacity. No one has the right to talk in the manner, and I won't hear my brothers depreciated in silence. Your brother is wondrous fond of you, too, isn't he? Observed Heathcliff scornfully. He turns you adrift on the world with surprising alacrity. He is not aware of what I suffer, she replied. I didn't tell him that. You have been telling him something, then. You have written, haven't you? To say that I was married, I did write. You saw the note. And nothing since? No. My young lady is looking sadly the worse for her change of condition, I remarked. Somebody's love comes short in her case, obviously. Whose, I may guess, but perhaps I shouldn't say. I shouldn't guess it was her own, said Heathcliff. She degenerates into a mere slut. She is tired of trying to please me. Uncommonly early, you hardly credit it, but the very morrow of our wedding she was weeping to go home. However, she'll suit this house so much better for not being over nice, and I'll take care she does not disgrace me by rambling abroad. Well, sir, returned I hope you'll consider that Mrs. Heathcliff is accustomed to being looked after and waited on, and that she has been brought up like an only daughter whom every one was ready to serve. You must let her have a maid to keep things tidy about her. You must treat her kindly. Whatever be your notion of Mr. Edgar, you cannot doubt that she has a capacity for strong attachments, or she would have abandoned the elegancies and comforts and friends of her former home to fix contentedly in such a wilderness as this with you. She abandoned them under a delusion, he answered, picturing me in a hero of romance and expecting unlimited indulgences from my chivalrous devotion. I can hardly regard her in the light of a rational creature, so obstinately has she persisted in forming a fabulous notion of my character, and acting on the false impressions she cherished. But at last, I think she begins to know me. I don't perceive the silly smiles and grimaces that provoked me at first, and the senseless incapability of discerning that I was in earnest when I gave my opinion of her infatuation and herself. It was a marvelous effort of perspicacity to discover that I did not love her. I believed, at one time, no lesson could teach her that, and yet it is poorly learnt. For this morning she announced as a piece of appalling intelligence that I had actually succeeded in making her hate me. A positive labor of Hercules, I assure you. It is to be achieved. I have cause to return thanks. Can I trust your assertion, Isabella? Are you sure you hate me? If I let you alone for half a day, won't you come sighing and wheedling to me again? I dare say she wouldn't rather. I had seemed all tenderness before you. It wounds her vanity to have the truth exposed. But I don't care who knows that the passion was wholly on one side, and I never told her a lie about it. She cannot accuse me of showing a bit of deceitful softness. The first thing she saw me do on coming out of the Grange was to hang up her little dog. And when she pleaded for it, the first words I uttered were a wish that I had the hanging of every being belonging to her, except one. Possibly, she took the exception for herself, but no brutality disgusted her. I had supposed she was in innate admiration of it, if only her precious persons were secure from injury. Now was it not the depths of absurdity, of genuine idiocy for that pitiful, slavish, mean-minded bratch child? Oh no, bratch is a she-dog or a B word. To dream that I could love her. Tell your master, Nellie, that I never in all my life met with such an abject thing as she is. She even disgraces the name of Linton's, and I've sometimes relented from pure lack of invention in my experiments. on what she could endure, and still creep shamefully, cringing back. But tell him also to set his fraternal and magisterial heart at ease, that I keep strictly with the limits of the law. I have avoided up to this period giving her the slightest right to claim a separation. And what's more, she thanked nobody for dividing us. If she desired to go, she might. The nuisance of her presence outwits the gratification to be derived from tormenting her. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Mr. Heathcliff, said I, this is the talk of a madman. And your wife most likely is convinced you are mad, and for that reason she has borne with you hitherto. But now that you say she may go, she'll doubtless avail herself of the permission. You are not so bewitched, ma'am, are you, as to remain with him of your own accord? Take care, Ellen, answered Isabella, her eyes sparkling irefully. There was no misdoubting by their expression the full success of her partner's endeavors to make himself detested. Don't put faith in a single word he speaks. He's a lying fiend, a monster, not a human being. I've been told I might leave him I've been told I might leave him before. I've made the attempt, but I dare not repeat it. Only Ellen, I dare not repeat it, so, man. Only, Ellen, I'll promise you'll not mention a syllable of his infamous conversation to my brother or Catherine. Whatever he may pretend, he wishes to provoke Edgar to desperation. He says he has married me on purpose to obtain power over him. He shan't obtain it. I'll die first. I just hope, I pray that he may forget his diabolical prudence and kill me. A single pleasure I can imagine is to die or to see him dead. Like, I want to sit across from the director of this movie and read them that line and say, in what delusion are you living in? Did you not read chapter 14? You think Heathcliff is romantic? He married someone to get back at someone, and this woman says she'd rather die. I actually admire Isabella for this. This is so sad. This is so horrifically tragic to me that she says this, but I understand it. I would rather die than have you inflict this suffering on my brother, and even on Kathy. I think she potentially has affection for Kathy to some extent, or just like her home back there. Maybe she wants to be controversial. Maybe she read Pride and Prejudice, and this is what happened, guys. She wanted to read Wuthering Heights, and her parents said, no, you're not going to read Wuthering Heights. So they took the cover off of Pride and Prejudice and put it on the they took the cover off of Wuthering Heights and put it on the body of Pride and Prejudice. It said, "This, here you go. This is Wuthering Heights." And she read it and she goes, "Oh, this is so romantic. This is such a great novel." This is crazy. That line for what she says is so tragic. "There, that will do for the present," said Heathcliff. "If you are called upon in a court of law, you'll remember her language, Nellie, and take a good look at that countenance. She's near on the point which would suit me. No, you're not fit to be your own guardian, Isabella, now. And I, being your legal protector, must retain you in my custody. However distasteful the obligation may be, go upstairs. I have something to say to Ellen Dean in private. That's not the way upstairs, I tell you. Why, is the road upstairs, child?" Is he going to kill her? He seized and thrust her from the room and returned muttering, "I have no pity, I have no pity. The more worms writhe, the more I yearn to crush out their entrails. Is it more teething, and I grind with greater energy in proportion to the increase of pain. Do you understand what the word pity means?" I said, hastening to resume my bonnet. "Do you ever feel a touch of it in your own life?" "Yes, Nellie, great questions, Nellie. Yeah, if there's one thing she does, she asks great questions." "Put that down," he interrupted, perceiving my intention to depart. "You are not going yet. Come here now, Nellie. I must either persuade or compel you to aid me in fulfilling my determination to see Catherine, and without delay. I swear that I meditate no harm. I do not desire to cause any disturbance or exasperation or insult Mr. Linton. I only wish to hear from herself how she is, and why she has been ill, and to ask if anything that I could do would be of use to her. Last night I was in the Grange garden 6 hours, and I will return there tonight, and every night I'll haunt the place, and every day, till I find an opportunity of entering. My gosh. If Edgar Linton meets me, I shall not hesitate to knock him down, and give him enough to ensure his quiescence while I stay. If his servants oppose me, I shall threaten them off with these pistols. But wouldn't it be better to prevent my coming in contact with them, or their masters? And you could do it so easily. I'd warn you when I came, and then you might let me in unobserved. As soon as she was alone, and watched till I departed, your conscience quite calm, you would be hindering mischief." How manipulative and terrible. This is absurd. I need a fanfic where Isabella sets Wuthering Heights on fire. But unfortunately, Heathcliff's not going to be there because he's in the gardens of the Grange, knocking on the windows with his little boombox. I protested against playing that treacherous part in my employer's house, and besides, I urged the cruelty and selfishness of his destroying Mr. Linton's tranquility for his satisfaction. She's trying to reason with someone who's a psychopath, and she can't do it. This won't work. "The commonest observance startles her painfully," said I. "She's all nerves, and she couldn't bear the surprise. I'm positive. Don't persist, sir, or else I shall be obliged to inform my master of your designs, and he'll take measures to secure his house and its inmates from any such unwarrantable intrusions. In that case, I'll take measures to secure you, woman," exclaimed Heathcliff. "You shall not leave Wuthering Heights till tomorrow morning. It is a foolish story to assert that Catherine could not bear to see me. And as to surprising her, I don't desire it. You must prepare her. Ask her if I might come. You say she never mentions my name, that I am never mentioned to her. To whom should she mention me, if I am a forbidden topic in the house? She thinks you are all spies for her husband. Oh, I've no doubt she's in hell among you. I guess by her silence as much as anything else what she feels. You say she is often restless and anxious looking. Is that proof of tranquility? You talk of her mind being unsettled. How the devil could it be done otherwise in her frightful isolation? And that insipid paltry creature, attending her from duties and humanity, from pity and charity. He might as well plant an oak in a flower pot and expect it to thrive, as imagine he can restore her to vigor in the soil of his shallow cares. Let us settle at once. Will you stay here? And am I to fight my way to Catherine over Linton and his footmen? Or will you be my friend, as you have been hitherto, and do what I request? Decide, because there is no reason for my lingering another minute if you persist in your stubborn ill nature. Well, Mr. Lockwood, I argued, and complained, and flatly refused him 50 times, but in the long run he forced me to an agreement. I engaged to carry a letter from him to my mistress, and should she consent, I promised to let him have intelligence of Linton's next absence from home, where he might come, and get in as he was able. I would be there, and my fellow servants should be equally out of way. Was it right or wrong? I fear I was wrong, though expedient. Though I prevented another explosion by my compliance, and I thought, too, it might create a favorable crisis in Catherine's mental illness. And then I remembered Mr. Edgar's stern rebuke of my carrying tales. I tried to smooth away all disquietude on the subject by affirming with frequent iteration, that betrayal of trust, if it merited so harsh an appellation, should be the last. Notwithstanding, my journey homeward was sadder than my journey thither, and many misgivings I had ere I could prevail on myself to put the missive into Mrs. Linton's hand. But here is Kenneth. I'll go down and tell him how much better you are. My history is dree, as we say. Dree cheerless, and will serve to while away another morning. Dree, as the good woman descended to receive the doctor, and not exactly of the kind which I should have chosen to amuse me, but never mind. I'll extract wholesome medicines from Mrs. Dean's bitter herbs, and firstly, let me beware of the fascination that lurks in Catherine Heathcliff's brilliant eyes. I should be in a curious taking if I surrender my heart to that young person, and my daughter turned out a second edition of the mother. End of volume 1. It's actually depressing that we still have half of this book left. Like, it's like an interesting case study on these people, but like, I really had to take this book in doses. We got to just do one reading a week because I don't know how much more I could take of this. This is just absurd. Like, everything that Heathcliff said in that little dialogue was absurd. Like, this guy is out of his mind. And like, man. Like, yeah, we gotta read something. We're gonna read something happy after this, don't worry. Like, it's really interesting in the long term versus the short term thoughts that I have for some of this. Like, I was talking about before, in Heathcliff's childhood, when Hindley kind of turns him out, when Hindley comes back and like turns him out of the house, I'm like, what could Heathcliff have done? And my whole conjecture was essentially forgiveness doesn't really do anything. And I still stand by that. In the moment, if Heathcliff was to say, I forgive this guy and I'm not going to live under his tortures anymore, I still don't think there's anything that really would have changed in that situation. But it would have changed for the future. Everything would have changed after. Heathcliff would have just gone away and said, I forgive this guy. This guy doesn't have any grasp on me anymore. And that would have changed the whole entire novel. Kathy probably would have been still a little insane, but she would have been healthier because she wouldn't have had Heathcliff in her life. She might have been thinking about Heathcliff all the time, but she at least would have been like, absent from him. And like, Heathcliff would have gone away and lived somewhere else and maybe found happiness in some weird way. It's just brutal. I know you guys warned me. Most pain in this novel is a product of people digging their own graves. Yeah, you can't, and maybe this novel is really all about that you really can't control anyone else's, like, choices except what you choose. But still, it's a novel that shows how your choices can really screw over and affect another person's choices. And it's like, even though these people screw you over in their own choices, you have to be controlling of your choices, and you need to stop it right there. But then again, there's like nothing that some people can do. Like, what can Isabella do? Like, her choices, she made like a few different stupid choices, but she made one stupid choice to run away with Heathcliff, and she's going to die because of it. Like, I think we all know that she's going to die in this novel. Like, Heathcliff is probably going to kill her in like some rage, or she's just going to kill herself, which is tragic to think about. But she would rather die than have Heathcliff come back to the family and ruin the family. Which, like, her loyalty to her family is beautiful, but it's also tragic that has to happen. These are the most screwed up people ever. Yeah, but Kathy almost seems incapable of running away, if I'm being completely honest. I'm reading her character a bit more as insane than like, she is abusive, and for sure, like, her insanity doesn't take away how nasty she is and how abusive she is. And I really can't stand her. I think she's an awful, awful person in this novel. But every chapter is literally competition for who you hate more. Yeah, we could run away. Honestly, do we just quit this novel right now? I can't. I can't do a DNF for this novel. I have to finish it. We're just going to have to grunt it out for another 2 weeks on this channel till we can finish it. Maybe we'll just speed read it so we can just finish and be done with it, so we can get to something a bit better. Because this is just brutal for me. Like, every decision that they're making is just so infuriating. And it's just like, these characters are getting worse and worse and worse. These are the villains that drive me crazy. Because they're not just like evil villains. They're not just like out for someone else's terror. They're insidious and malicious, and they're psychopaths, and they're crazy people. And I could only stay in that world for so long. And like, some of me is like, maybe I think naively of some things in the world, or, like, I know that people are like this, but really, like, are people like this? This is terrifying. Did not finish as a DNF. I have never read Madame Bovary, but we will definitely be adding that to the list. I'm just like, this is a brutal novel. They're so messed up. Ay, ay, ay. It doesn't bother you as much. Yeah, if you read like thrillers and horror, I guess you can kind of get that. But yeah, Heathcliff is a trigger for Kathy, but still, Kathy is like actually insane, and it triggers her insanity to some extent. But Kathy is so strange. But again, I think there's a point too where some of these characters, you're gonna blame it on, like, you can put so much blame on different things, but still they are in charge of their choices. They are responsible for the choices that they make. Kathy, just because she's insane and just because she's like losing her mind, does not it doesn't dismiss her from being responsible for her physical abuse. In the same way, Heathcliff had a terrible childhood. That does not dismiss him from how terrible he is now. This is like about letting go, about like forgiving other people and forgiving yourself. And because no one does this, maybe this is the whole purpose of the novel. The whole purpose of the novel is to show the power of forgiveness and the lack of forgiveness that's shown. Like, if one person forgives, a lot is solved in this novel. Like later on in the future, maybe not in the immediate future, but very much in the late future. And exactly, like, this novel is not just people destroying themselves. Like, I can deal with a character destroying themselves. Like Voldemort, I'm okay with him destroying himself. He destroys other people in the meantime. But if you're doing this and if your self-destruction is causing you to kill and harm other people like this is where it's brutal. Where characters just, because cognitive dissonance. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think, I mean, everything is like situational for some of this stuff. Like it's very romantic writing, but I don't think if there were different characters in this. Like I was thinking about that with Heathcliff's speech to some extent. Like let's say that someone is in like if Heathcliff is doing this, like if Kathy's situation was different, like everyone's just delusional. That's the issue with this, is that everyone thinks wrongly of the situation. If Kathy was in some kind of abusive relationship, like if she was like getting beaten up every single day, and Heathcliff comes back and rescues her out of that and is like, I will murder everyone in that house if you continue to do this, and I will mess everyone's life up and I'll kill myself in the meantime to free her from that. There's a possibility that like you think that is justice, which to be honest is slightly like romantic. Justice sometimes is romantic. But the fact that he's just delusional and thinking that, I mean, he's delusional in some ways. Like Kathy really does want and desire him, but they're just two people that are miserable. Yeah, passion isn't romance either. Exactly. Like this is they're all in just fits of passion. There's very little romance in this. It is just brutal. Yeah, and it really is affecting people around them, and they're just vengeful. They're just taking their anger out on other people, and they're like revenge. They like it just doesn't sit. Yeah, this really is a cautionary tale. 100% this is a cautionary tale. Man. And again, I think this is like there's modicums of this that make it feel like an Edgar Allan Poe story. Like it's like so the terrifying thing of this novel to me is it's actually way more terrifying than anything Edgar Allan Poe has ever written. Like this is scarier to me than Telltale Heart, because Telltale Heart is just about one psychopath, you know, doing something crazy. This is a bunch of psychopaths in a room together. This is like so much scarier than that, because this is a bit more like normal life. Like, I don't know anybody who's going to like open a door for, you know, night after night, looking at this one guy's horror eye and then killing this guy in a fit of rage. Like, I don't know anybody that, but I do know people who are like the people in Wuthering Heights who treat revenge as this way. And they're terrifying. Like, this is absolute horror. And yeah, maybe, again, maybe it's not psychopaths. I think there's an element of psychosis in this. And maybe it's like revenge-induced psychosis. But I think, and this is another point that I want to make too with this, is that sometimes I think we want to diagnose these people because we want to make excuses for their behavior. I just think these people are just, they're all, yeah, I'm with you. These are a bunch of angry people making these choices that are just reprehensible. And it is like I think almost the point of Emily Bronte going as far down this path as she can, and this novel is probably going to get worse, is that there's no excuse that we can make for these people. It doesn't matter about their past. It doesn't matter about what we diagnose them with. It doesn't matter about what the doctor says. These people are so screwed up because they are just angry and they're vengeful, and those things are more insidious than the things that happen to them in their life, that they are not actually able to let go and like be free of this. So I just think that this whole novel is not really about like us diagnosing them. I think it's just about poor choices that they make, and that they just live all their choices with an anger and revenge for one another. Again, what you guys said, it's a cautionary tale. 100% this is a cautionary tale that Emily Bronte is writing. It just is so sick to me that people are like this. It is just so disturbing. Like, this is what life looks like without forgiveness and without, like, you know. They're all demon possessed. I'm just kidding. Even me saying that the idea that they're demon possessed is coming up with excuses for their behavior. It's like, and I think some of this is I do think that the desire to diagnose some people like this is because sometimes some of us find it so unpalatable that people would actually behave like this. But I do think that people behave like this, and like me saying like these guys are demon possessed is like me putting blame on these spiritual realms, where I do think there's an element of spirituality in this, but I don't think it's necessarily to blame these spiritual realms rather than the actual people who are making the terrible decisions. Like, yes, you can read this with like a whole spiritual element to it, and it'd be like a Halloween horror of like, you know, it would be a great novel if someone honestly, someone needs to make a movie about this from a supernatural standpoint. And like, this is a horror movie, such an interesting supernatural thriller. But really, I think the core of the novel is that none of this stuff actually matters. That is just these people's choices are just screwing everyone over, and everyone is just making such bad decisions, and they're all revengeful and hating people. And they all need to be put in prison. Man. Setting yourself on fire just to burn your enemy. Yep. Totally agree with that. It's like what's that Batman line that Michael Caine says? Some men just want to watch the world burn. Like there's some evil, like this is like Joker level evil. There are some people out there that aren't doing things just even to gain something. Like Heathcliff seems like the kind of person that is doing this, yes, to get revenge on everyone, but he's doing this because he just likes it. Because his countenance is the happiest when he is at his most vengeful. Like he just wants to watch the world burn. Oh, these people are so hard to be with. I am struggling with this novel. Like, I think it's so fascinating. And obviously, it's leading us on to really interesting discussion, you know, cautionary tale kind of stuff. But dang, this is brutal. Really got to take this in doses. Oh, they're all so screwed up. So screwed up. All right, guys, I'm jumping off because I gotta go eat some food and take a bath and go take a walk and clear my head. This is just brutal. I just don't want to. I don't know. This is crazy. Yeah, we need some hot chocolate. Everyone, go get some hot chocolate. Go take a shower, and then we'll reconvene some other time. I don't know when I'll be able to reread the next section. Maybe Friday morning. But it's gonna be weird. It's probably gonna be Friday morning or maybe Saturday or maybe Sunday night. I don't think I could do it in the weekend that easily, but we'll see. Maybe like later Sunday night, like 6 or 7 or something like that. So I'll let you guys know on Discord, and I'll set it like 24 hours in advance or so. Yeah, we need some chocolate and a walk. Guys, thanks for joining me for this journey. This is a crazy journey, but thanks for joining me. I really like talking about this with you guys, and we're gonna have to just power walk read the rest of this. We're gonna go fast through it so we can go get some good happy books. But it was a pleasure doing this with you guys, and I will see you in the next one. I'll let you guys know when the next one is, but I'll see you in the next one. Later.